and will not back down this time round. Kalonzo says that Kenyans have provided powers that he provides and dismissed any attempts to persuade him otherwise. In an exclusive interview with KTN News, Kalonzo also castigated President William Ruto over his continuous push for higher taxes and the attack on the judiciary.
And has it always not been between when it was Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila? Some of us tried to, and we've really fought. We know this game. We know the rules. Because it's the Kenyans themselves who trust themselves to thrash me there. I think they want to thrust me there. I've heard some of them say, we will thrust him there. So I'm just a face of a struggle, okay? And the struggle is so serious that we can't afford to get it wrong. I'll repeat. This struggle is so serious that we can't afford to get it wrong. So I am just a face, a willing face of Kenyans who say you must go there. So even those who want to say they want to run, let them also get going. And then we'll be able to know.
And President William Ruto Tuesday alleged that the regime of his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta had set aside a budget to bribe courts and sway the decisions of the judiciary. Speaking of laying the foundation stone for the Kapsuso affordable housing project in Uasin Gishu County, President Ruto told off critics of his pilot project, underscoring that he would not be cowed in his push to end corruption in the judiciary.
Na kuna mwingine ati ameniambia ati kwa sababu serikali ile ingine ati walikuwa na budget ya kuhongana kotini. Ati mimi niweke pesa budget ati ya wananchi wa Kenya ati ya kuhongana kotini. Yaani ukumbafu kama hiyo mimi nitafanya kweli? Mnataka ati tutumie pesa yetu ati twende tuhongane kotini? Hiyo ni ukumbafu bwana. That is not going to happen. Mimi nasema hivi, tunaheshimu mahakama yetu na tunataka tuhakikishe ya kwamba mahakama inafanya kazi na sisi na vitengo zingine ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba tunapanga ajira ya hawa vijana. Ili tupange matibabu ya Wakenya. Lakini hatuwezi kuruhusu watu wachache waende wajifiche nyuma ya mahakama ati wanatumia independence ya kotini ati wa sabotage hii program ya kazi, program ya matibabu ati kwa sababu ya manufaa ya watu wachache wafisadi ambao wanafaidika na status quo.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on his part urged the president not to listen to those who are pushing him and to push to create jobs and fulfill his campaign manifesto and instead deal with his critics.
Kwa hivyo tunataka kuambia wale hawa walijaribu kumsimamisha huyu rais, walikuwa wameapa hata kuwa rais wa Kenya, lakini Mwenyezi Mungu na nyinyi mkaamua ya kwamba atakuwa rais wa Kenya. Sasa walikuwa wanasema vile walivilisisha Kenya hata faulu, Kenya itapigiwa kengele. Rais ameng'ang'ana, uchumi wa Kenya umerudi, Kenya imeheshimika. Ndio sasa wamepanga njama ya kutumia kotini kutatiza na kusabaratisha mipango ya rais wetu. Lakini rais, tunataka kukuuliza kwa heshima, wewe usitishwe. Wenye kukuandika kazi matajiri yako ni hawa, si ni nyinyi? Yeye aliandikwa kotini, ni jaji walimuandika kazi. Wenye kumuandika rais kazi ni nani? Mnasema aendelee asiendelee?
The government has announced that another 310,000 job opportunities for Kenyans to work abroad await on the horizon from 4 countries. State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed said, upon the completion of ongoing bilateral labor agreements, Kenya will have a green light to send its citizens to their respective nations. According to Mohammed, there will be 250,000 jobs in Germany, 30,000 jobs agriculture jobs in Israel, with 3,000 available by March this year. He added that 20,000 jobs in the construction and services will be available in Serbia and 10,000 jobs in Russia. He further reiterated that the healthcare positions in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for 2,500 healthcare workers are still open to qualified and interested persons. Now, DCI officers in Trans Nzoia County have managed to recover a G3 rifle and 9 bullets, which are believed to have been used by a reserve police officer to kill 2 people in John Power area of Chomlim Ward. DCI boss in the county, Francis Kiara, said the gun was found at his home in Skimoto village and the best constituency. Kiara said bullet-spent cartridges were found and that such operation for the suspect has gained momentum. Kipsang's keen Betty Chemtai called on Imlu and Ipoa to conduct a thorough investigation and arrest the suspect.
Naitwa Betty Chemtai, ndugu yangu namba 8. Kampuni inaitwa Tropical. Hatukuwa na msoso. Mtoto alikuwa ati amekaa kwa mawe. KBR alikuwa anatoka huko, ati alikuwa kwa pombo huko juu. Akakutana na mtoto ati amekaa kwa mawe, akaambia ati nyinyi ndio suspect ya kuiba kahawa.
This is Newswire. Dennis Asato. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes?
What the big boys have also done. I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you're willing to be milked dry.
Hapo. You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's a land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then, taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
With politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
So who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Wednesday. All right, what are we looking at concerning traffic today? Yesterday was pretty busy. Folks still traversing the country trying to get where they're going in terms of school runs. So let's see what Wednesday looks like. In the middle of the city, it's already looking busy on Haile Selassie. Traffic in and outbound as you go then towards Kamkunji at the roundabout, or then go into the city and then head on out towards Gong Road. As you're coming off the Thika Superhighway, not much happening here. Coming out of Westlands, you're doing all right. And if you're coming off of Uhuru Highway and getting into the city, a little bit of movement here and there is not going to deter you. So we'll be fine, at least for now. We're just waking up to the traffic. Let's see what happens as we get into Wednesday. And we'll talk, of course, on SpiceFM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's Wednesday. How are you doing? Kicking off in the middle of the week and saying, yes, indeed. Kenya's biggest conversation starts right now at 11 minutes after 6 o'clock. How are you doing today? In the middle of it is where we are and getting into it in terms of conversations. We'll be joined by everybody in a bit. To here with you, Eric Latiff, C.T. Muga, also here in a minute or two. Okay, so how's Wednesday panning out? Many, many things happening across, and we'll be having some of those conversations this morning. All right, before we say hello properly, how about I tell you what we'll be discussing today? Yes? Okay. If I'm going to find it, I will find it in just a minute. Is my phone dying? Did I not charge my phone? Did I sleep? I'm having conversations with Ndu. Wait a minute. Wait one hot minute. Okay, so there's a lady called Makamba Wangwe, and she works with the Kenya Revenue Authority. Now, you've heard of the thing e-teams, this new phenomenon, and everybody's wondering, what does it all mean? Well, she's going to unpack that for us a little bit. How do you register? What does it mean? Why is KRA being like this? Why are they like this? Ask the questions. And so some of the things we'll be discussing with her at 7 o'clock. And then at 8 a.m., 1 year in office, reflections and future plans. The cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communications and the Digital Superhighway, as rather the digital economy, Eliud Owalo, will be with us here at 8, and we'll be having that conversation with him. And it is my greatest honor and pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this morning to recognize the presence of two fine gentlemen with us here in the studio at 13 minutes after 6 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for C.T. Muga and Eric Latiff?
Have they put their hands together?
I don't know how. What about that introduction,
We're
guys?
not coming in until the hands are together.
What about that introduction?
Very good.
Thank you very much. How are
Very
you?
good.
Good morning.
Safsana. Yeah, I was looking for my way in here.
You got lost?
Yeah,
It happens. It happens. Don't worry.
Ah.
You are
If you
not
want to know how difficult
alone.
it is, the two of us were together, so you know, so two minds couldn't find the way.
The blind leading the blind, no?
By the way, we hear you.
Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you Sisi nasikia wewe.
Sisi wewe wasikie mimi. Mko salama lakini?
Mimi kwa upande wangu mimi binafsi niko salama kabisa.
I'm happy to hear it.
Sijui wewe Siti?
Siti soma Taifa Leo.
Taifa Leo? Uko na Taifa Leo leo? Leo uko na Taifa Leo.
Taifa ya leo. Uko na leo.
Sikizeni nyinyi watu.
Wanasema taifa liko vipi?
Leo.
Wanasema hivi. Wabunge wataka kumngoa Ndung'u.
Kufanya nini?
Ngoa. Uproot.
Oh, okay. Let's Pluck. Okay.
Wanataka kumng'oa yeye.
That is what Taifa Leo inasema leo.
Wanataka kumng'oa lini? Leo.
Taifa Leo wanasema
wanataka kumng'oa leo. Tutasema baadaye.
Wabunge la taifa.
Wabunge la taifa kuu. Kwa ufupi mambo ni mengi. Yes.
Sawa kabisa. Sawa. Na wewe je?
Mimi niko poa.
Uko poa? Somebody said yesterday that they love your hair.
Is it?
Yeah.
Merci bien. Thank you. I did it myself.
You did, eh? Yeah, you got a good hand.
Thanks.
Yeah. Ednah, are we live streaming? Iko juu kabisa. Kama kawaida, kama kawa, kama sawa, kama kila kitu. You've said everything. No, you said 7. Did you say 8?
Yes, I did.
Did you say 9?
No, I didn't. I said 8.
Ednah, what are you doing at 9? We're talking education at 9 a.m.
Thank you very
much. KCSE is out. What next? Hey, kuna university for 200,000. Not all of them are going to end up into a university. There's TVETs. There's Nini. And then the people who get E.
Where?
Wazima, mambo ni mengi hapa bwana.
Hao wataenda wapi?
You know, mambo ni mengi bwana.
Mambo ni mengi
sana. By the way, kwa vile tuko hali ya salamu hapa, kuna ndugu mmoja anaitwa Dr. Deng Akoi. He's an orthopedic surgeon. Kutana jana alisema bwana salimia hao wapendwa sana. Yes.
Deng Akoi.
Deng ndio jina yake, D-E-N-G. Akoi
kama daktari wa mifupa huyo.
Yes, bwana mtaalamu wa udaktari wa mifupa.
Orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah, orthopedic anaangalia mfupa ikienda left anaambia kwenda right, vitu kama hizo. Yes.
Okay. Salamu tumezipokea sana kwa moyo mkunjufu Daktari Deng. Asante sana kwa kutuma salamu. 17 minutes after 6, we are live on YouTube and Facebook and SpiceFM across the country, across the globe. If you're online, let us know where you're tuned in from. Do tell us about the weather.
Just now.
Yeah.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Okay, 17 degrees in Nairobi this morning. Clear conditions for now. Highs of 24 and lows of 15. It's cloudy at 17 in Nakuru, highs of 24. And we'll see highs of 25 in a mostly clear Nyeri at 14. It's 14 in Eldoret. It's cloudy, highs of 22 and lows of 13. Looking into a partly cloudy Mombasa at 26. We'll see highs of 32 and highs of 32 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 27. Kisumu's cloudy at 20, highs of 26. And we'll see highs of 25. In a mostly cloudy Kakamega at 18, coming down to lows of 17. Kampala cloudy this morning, a chance of rain, highs of 27 and lows of 20. Dar es Salaam is mostly cloudy at 26 and we'll see highs of 31. Looking into a partly cloudy Johannesburg is 16 degrees, highs of 25. And Mogadishu is sunny at 24 with highs of 32. And looking into Addis Ababa, it's a hazy morning at 11, highs of 22 and lows of 10. Lagos is clear at 26 with highs of 33 and lows of 25. Kinshasa cloudy at 24 with highs of 31. It's 0 and mostly sunny in Beijing. Wednesday afternoon, we'll see highs of 3 and lows of -7. -2 and cloudy in Paris. Chance of snow with highs of 1 and lows of -2. While at 1 degree, London is cloudy, highs of 6 and lows of 0. Flooding in New York, rain, sleet and snow, 13 degrees, highs of just that and lows of 10.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's somewhere in that bag. Okay, good morning, Don Sabwa says. Good morning, CT, Eric, Ndu, Ednah, and Diego. The M-Pesa outage left many in limbo in Malawi. Oh, hold on. You need to use punctuation, man, so that I know what we're doing here. Many in limbo, full stop. In Malawi, outage, we say mkwio. CT, kindly say M-Pesa mkwio.
Kindly, M-Pesa mkwio.
Okay.
So you're on the outage. There's a word for outage in Kimalawi.
Mkwio.
Jamaa lakini anapenda kuenjoy sana.
R, the man known as R, says good morning. Happy New Year. Good day, says James Mwangi. Raphael Kige says, good morning, big team. I salute you guys. Thanks for being insightful. Please say Happy New Year in Igbo, Luo, and Masai. I beg.
Happy New Year. Kuna mambo kama hiyo.
There's nothing like Happy New Year in Igbo.
As it's one day after another,
surely.
And we know the year has ended. Happy New Year.
Stories.
Happy Harvest Day, happy birth of a child, happy marriage. Those ones will tell you.
Agri Mamani says he's in an Airbnb. Airbnb. Are you sure? Okay. Or something. All right. Joseph Nderi says, good morning. Tuned in, waiting for CT's proverb today. Abito the lady. Good morning, Okoh, Muga, Latiff. Your hair is beautiful. Thank you very much, Abito. Asante sana. The lady also says hello to Ednah. Ednah, are you there? Voila. Patrick Mugo says, good morning, Fox. Yeah? Folks. Oh, watching live from Toronto. Patrick Waishigo. Did I say that right? Waishigo. Good morning to Eric, CT, all the hustlers. Davis Weed says Bahrain is locked. Salam alaikum, Spice and Ednah. Anne Gore. Good morning, my beautiful people. Greetings from the beautiful hills of Saboti and Trans Nzoia. Sami Lidania says, good morning, team. Have a blessed day from Azeras. Dismas Okai is tuned in. Good morning. Have a lovely one, good people. Bon matin, mes chers amis. That's Jennifer Tenyi, essentially saying, good morning, my dear friends. Joe Mungai is tuned in from Covington in Washington this morning. He's not in Bonnie Lake. He's moved a bit. Robert Mbogo says, good morning from Mombasa. Kurgat Kiplimo, hello, my favorite trio. Good morning. Josfat Moirori, your laughter is making me get late for work. Really? Say hi to Eric and CT. CT and Eric, you've been hide.
Hi.
Hi to you also.
Deep State says, nice to see you and the twins. The twins be two of you who are walking each other, looking for the door to the studio.
Masaibu bwana.
Okay.
There was a cartoon, something twins. I'll try and remember. Anyway. Mboiriro Hinga.
That is Tintin.
Was it not? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Tantan.
Tintin.
Tintin were twins. It was one guy.
No.
Or Tintin and the Snow White Dog.
There were many episodes, and there was one particular one.
There were two guys with bowler hats.
Who were
those
twins.
Guys.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yes. Tintin was just completely
those guys
confused.
who gave new meaning to the word bungle.
Billions and billions of blue blistering
Barnacles. Bars.
and thundering typhoons.
Jeez. You know, there's some people in the world right now who have no idea what you're talking about. Dr. Venvik says, good morning from today, Mombasa. Deep State. Eric, why does Ledana keep calling you a Masai and you don't respond? Respond. Say Deep State, good morning in Kimasai.
By saying what now?
I
respond to Ledana.
Eric, you we the Masais. Then you're supposed to say, hey, yeah. I don't know.
Just like in Nigeria, they would say Wahala. Right.
Bosa.
Okay.
You say, like in Igbo, we say Bosa. I don't know if they say
Bosa.
Sisi Kama was Masai, then you say
Era.
No, are you okay?
Era.
Patrick Ocheng. I don't know. Today. Happy New Year to CT and Eric. We're happy to have you back in the year 2024 with Enlightening Conversations, my favorite morning show, watching from Ngambo. Live from Kasarani. Good morning. Dr. Deng anafanya alignment on human wheels. Ateke. Kurgat Kiplimo says, I hope this year we talk blue economy. And I would love to have my PS come in and maybe explain what the country's plan is. Your PS.
Ambia your PS tuongeleshe vizuri.
Sasa CS wa blue economy ni Salim Vuria, no?
Yes. PS ni nani?
PS atusijui.
Haya, huyu anamjua.
Amos Hissa says, good morning, tuned in. The situation room is part of my schedule. Guarantee of a good day. That's great. CPA Rubens Mutia has announced himself and he's watching this morning. Ruel Namu is tuned in from Nyeri, Kigongo. Mohammed, everybody's tuned in. Polycarp Omondi, Dennis Kiprop, tuned in with Cosmos Grace. And everybody, we can see you. Not mention all your names. But hey, good to have you in the room this morning.
Kaiser Obed, Rutherford Maganga, everybody, good morning. City, third day of Proverbs from the Republic of Kenya in Kiswahili.
Chura hana manyoya. Do still waiting for the proverb.
I swear, that's what I was like. So what's the problem?
Sawa ndu, bado wangojea sio? Okay.
Mwambie tena.
Chura hana manyoya.
Translate.
Wait. I read this chura is something. Wait. Toad, frog.
Mm-hmm.
Abi?
Mm-hmm.
Hana does not have.
Mm-hmm.
Manyoya. Dudu manyoya. I've heard that. Manyoya. I don't know.
Kama kuku ile.
Feathers.
Mm-hmm.
A frog does not have feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously not. What? They did. It would be a bird, but it's a frog. What are we doing?
That is what in Kenyanese would tell you it's an obviousity.
I mean. Uh-huh.
Haya, wacha tutasikia interpretation.
We have guests, don't we? They'll interpret this for us.
We shall hear. Okay, let's get to the headlines.
Okay, on the front page of The Standard this morning, dreams of champions. Top students in last year's Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination reveal the secrets to their success. Now they know them, and their aspirations as they prepare to join institutions of higher learning, locally and abroad, to pursue dream careers with medicine and engineering topping their preferences. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Kalonzo Musyoka has decided 27. I'm inside. And you people, I'm not waiting. Campaign
He's
start
now speaking.
now. No, he's not speaking. Campaign start now.
Okay.
So, you know.
Andale.
Tindio.
It's a good thing.
Now, SACCOs will start paying levies. Just in case you thought everybody was out of it. SACCOs will pay levies. Sawa. So still looking well into KCSE. I mean, we will have an education conversation today. But they're talking about, in some of the other headlines, surprises from little known schools. And then there's a list. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We're still looking at this. So that continues with that.
Okay.
We're still looking at a little bit of education on the front page of The Nation. Small schools that fell giants. New kids on the block is what is being called now. We're still having a look at education. A headline here that grabbed my attention, looking into the details of that. 6 students stuck. How's that for alliteration?
Six students
stuck in India as Edu Afia cover dries up. There's a picture of the delightful Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha there, and maybe we'll understand exactly what's going on. So that headline in the Taifa Leo, members of Parliament want to know who it's here in English. MP's threat to impeach Ndungu over CDF delays. We did see the MP for Rarieda in a presser yesterday, of course, flanked by a number. And he said, you know what? You people promised us, you told us many things. You said, let's go on break and come back. We'll get this thing done. No, they've not received any money. And they're saying, you guys, you're joking. Not only will we stand this thing still, we will impeach you. So NGCDF, they've not received any money, they're saying. And it's now crunch time.
So MPs now saying we'll impeach.
We'll remove you, the source of our problems. So, yeah.
Okay.
NHC is on the spot, over 3.2 billion shillings in unsold houses. Their houses for sale. Agency faulted for failing to provide an inventory of exactly what is going on. The president was in the company of some good people yesterday, visiting a housing project. And just in case you thought that it was over, he's renewed his feud with the judiciary over projects. And he vows that he will deal with the corrupt judiciary.
Okay.
So,
Business Daily, winners and losers from the shilling's record fall. Expatriates, Kenyans with foreign currency denominated salaries, exporters and recipients of diaspora remittances have marked a significant windfall from the weakening of the shilling against major world currencies. Their fortune is in sharp contrast to that of importers, individuals paying school fees and college fees overseas and borrowers in hard currency who have suffered forex losses from the weaker local currency. Yeah. Kenya's economy to grow 5.2% this year, according to the World Bank. 5.2%. Hiya, the ticker headlines. Nairobi and Kilifi are laying pipe. Top counties in piped water coverage. Kilifi has the highest proportion of residents that can be served by piped water. Kilifi.
County.
So we're talking about potential here.
No. Has the highest proportion of residents that can be served by piped water out of all Kenya's 47 counties.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
According to whom exactly?
This is according to a new report. I shall tell you the report.
Okay.
Bank of Africa to expand lending to MSMEs and bank stocks tipped to rise on dividend earnings, blah, blah, blah. What's on the Star and the Taifa of today?
Upright. Top right hand corner until green. The full story is on page 7. Ruto. I'll never bribe judges for favorable court decisions.
Oh, that's great news.
That's according to the Star.
I will never
bribe
judges
for favorable court decisions.
Well, you would
I have never or I will never.
All right.
He will never bribe
Upright.
judges.
Ruto. I'll never bribe, meaning I will never. Mimi, never. Sitafanya hivyo.
Okay.
Right? Got it?
Got it.
Right. Then, a bang in the middle of the paper, Meru governor and her husband have denied involvement in sniper's death.
Of course they have.
Yes, they have murder. Is Mwangaza a victim of police probe? 9 of the governor's close associates, including her brother, are in lawful custody as opposed to unlawful custody. Okay? Bang in the middle of the paper, the Star shines brighter with the weekly free issue. This is every Tuesday. There's a picture of the Information and Communications CS Eliud Owalo holding the Star and MyGov newspaper at his telecom office in Nairobi. Okay? So it is free. They are going to be giving on this particular Tuesday when the MyGov comes out. They will get Gazette will be free. Right. Complementary food. Poor baby diet may be cause of D's in KCSC. That's the Ministry of Health analysis. It's a headline. The story is on page 2. Poor baby diet. If the baby eats badly, they're saying they'll get a D in KCS. Okay.
Some 17 years later.
Yeah, you'll get a D. Okay, according to them.
Okay.
The story, the headline may be misleading, but they may have a point.
I agree.
Yes.
That the headline
Diet,
just want to
deficiency in the diet may cause deficiencies in certain things that your body needs, and also brain food, blah, blah, blah.
Enzymes
things like
release,
disease,
all kinds of things.
All that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Review. Varsities to lower cutoff points in new policy change. Really? Okay. Safer, cheaper. KU Hospital performs rare heart artery operation. This is a story on page 7. This is good news. This is wonderful. Then there are pictures all over the place of people reading the paper. This is good. People should read the paper.
What are the other headlines Nini, before we do the traffic?
In the
Taifa
Leo. Oh yes, I thought you'd never ask. Iko hivi bwana. Okay. Miamba wapya. Okay? Shule ndogo ndogo zatia fora katika KCSE huku zikitoa ushindani mkali kwa majabali wenye uwezo mkubwa. Okay? Then below, then hapo juu toto. Wabunge wataka kumngoa ndugu. Hiyo nilisema tayari, sio? Ndio ushafafanua. Then there's a picture of a Jimmy Wanjigi and Raila Odinga. Okay? Siri kali ya Raila na Wanjigi. Wanasiasa hao marafiki ambao wamewahi kutofautiana sana wanaanza urafiki tena. That is the story. And then joto la ajabu pwani, wakazi wengi walazimika kujificha ardhini mchana, huku joto la hadi nyuzi 40 ile degree ile Celsius ile wajua. Okay?
Temperatures are hitting 40 in the coast.
Yes.
As people are having to bury themselves underground.
Yes.
Wanajificha kwa udongo.
It's cooler.
The mud.
So how are they doing that?
You dig, then you cover yourself.
Where?
Ardhi.
I beg, let's do traffic. Leave this man. this man alone, I beg.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, so traffic is picking up here and there in the city. It's very busy on Haile Selassie this morning, in and outbound. Jogo Road getting towards the City Stadium roundabout. We're going to do that thing again this morning, so be prepared. Seatbelts on because we're going to need them. It looks like it's going to be an interesting ride. On the Thika Superhighway, as you're getting towards the CBD, getting to that fork in the road then between... what's the name of this road? Wangai Madai, and then towards Muranga Road. That is pretty busy. Are you coming out of Westerns? You're all right, you'll notice. And on Outer Ring, you'll not look there for a minute. Traffic is moving freely all the way through towards the Thika Superhighway and then coming out on this other side towards Embakasi. Speaking of which, let's look at Outer on Cabanas going towards... why am I forgetting the names of roads this morning? This road here.
Cabanas, Enterprise.
Thank you. A little bit of traffic. It's moving. So not an issue. Let's circle back and look at about 7, what it looks like. And we'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Just start with that story, City.
All right.
Ukurasa namba ngapi?
You know, this is the thing. When we talked about joto hadi nyuzi 40, then further down, it's UK 4. So I thought, the temperature in the UK is 4. All realize, ni ukurasa.
It actually is.
Okay. Baada ya El Nino, wakazi sasa walia joto kali Tana River. Wakazi walazimika kubuni mbinu za, yani kubuni zinu. They have to find ways. Now I'm almost speaking Malawian. Okay, kubuni mbinu za kujipushia ardhi kama kuvalia mavazi mapesi. Essentially, this is the story. The temperatures in Tana River is warm and hot and humid to begin with, just so that you understand. Not this pleasant hot, it can be sweltering, that's the word you would use. So now they're saying that apart from, if you look at the terrain in Tana River, there well, I speak as someone who's been there. There are parts that are forested nicely, okay? But a lot of the land is almost semi-arid. So one doesn't have very many places where you can sort of like... shelter, okay? So either you wear clothes that afford you a little breeze, or you, or you literally, unajichimbia mahali, okay?
And then
unajituliza.
But that's what animals do. Elephants do it, rhinos do it.
Precisely.
To cool down.
Yes,
they throw the mud on themselves and cake it on.
They do it. They do that, yes.
Yeah.
So, this is not a new thing for mammals, but the people of Tana River. But what does this tell you? Because El Nino isn't over, according to the people who understand these things.
This is El Nino. That's heat.
The heat.
You have got it. I was going to say El Nino isn't over in the sense of El Nino. For most people, it is rain. Okay? The erratic weather patterns where it is very hot, then it's cool, then it rains, then it doesn't. That one, you need El Nino. So, walisema baada ya El Nino. This is why I'm commenting. El Nino haijaisha. Yes. What is being reported here is actually El Nino.
Alrighty.
Yes.
Okay. Page 4 of the Business Daily, there is a report by the water sector regulator that's called the Water Services Regulatory Board, WASREB. It shows that 1.1 million residents of Kilifi County could access piped water as of June 2022. We are in 2024. As of June 2022, 1.1 million residents of Kilifi could access piped water. That is 73% of the county's population. See, that's where the issue is. 1.1 million people in Kilifi is 73% of the population of Kilifi. Okay? The highest rate of any county besides Nairobi, which has 4 million residents with water access, translating to 86% of the city's population. Muranga is third with 767,000 or 71% of the population connected to piped water, followed by Kiambu and Embu counties which closed the top 5 counties with water coverage rates of 70% and 60% respectively. During the period under review, 54% of the national population lived in areas served by regulated utilities. Nairobi County had water coverage at 86%, a 2 percentage point drop from 88% during the previous report. West Pokot was the county with the least proportion of residents who have piped water connections. The county has 14,988 residents who have been piped, translating to just 2% of the population. Wajir, 19,000 residents with water connections, second lowest. Narok, third last with 49,000 residents, or 4% of the population having water coverage.
Let me understand this. The majority of people in Kilifi County, where do they live? Do they live in the rural areas or do they live in the urban centers?
I don't know.
Well, actually,
where is the population concentrated in?
Yes,
in the urban areas.
Yes, and where are they? Or you just start with the population, because the bulk of Kilifi County is rural.
Yeah.
And the terrain is not the same.
No.
So if you were to go, let's say, for instance, constituency by constituency, you would need to ask. There are places where there is a lot more urgency in the need for water than others.
Yeah.
So are they saying that these people have also been served? Because I guess if it's...
That's
if
why
it's
there is 29% that hasn't been served. I guess what's happening in this particular one, we are seeing a big county that is sparsely populated.
Yes.
Big county in terms of geography.
In terms of geography.
Yes.
Sparsely populated. And then the areas that have higher concentration of people are those urban towns. And those urban towns have some piped water. I've seen somebody actually tagging us on Twitter and saying, it's true. He's a resident of Kilifi County and saying that, there is pipe coming to the house, but water comes on Mondays.
Only. Oh, wow.
So I don't know, when WASREB is doing this report, if you look at it just from that face value, that 86% of Nairobians have water connection, have access to water, do they actually receive water on a regular basis from the pipes, or do they not receive water through the pipe? Because if you can have the water connection through the pipe, but does the pipe flow with water? Or does water flow through the pipe?
If you compare, say, the two counties, let's say Nairobi and Kilifi, do they have water bowsers supplying people in Kilifi with water? Here, you see water bowsers. So you actually get the impression that people are actually supplied through water bowsers.
Yep.
And wherever you take the water, there's piping. That is why you can access that water that is brought with the bowser. And the water bowser business is a thriving business in the city.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is.
Now, it would not be thriving if indeed there was water going through the pipes that exist within the county infrastructure.
Yeah.
Is that not so?
Which is why this report, it could be just showing some very good figures, and we're heading towards achieving universal,
health coverage.
Not the health coverage. What's that one? Yeah, health coverage. But also there is the global sustainable
development.
The
goals.
SDGs.
Yes.
SDG number 6, which says that everybody shall have access to piped potable water and all those nonsensical
So in this
things.
case, they have access to pipes.
So they are saying now,
access to pipes,
but not the water.
Not the water.
Because if water will eventually flow into your house through the pipe, but it arrived there through a bowser that then put the pipe in the water in the tank, and then that
it doesn't achieve the purpose.
Have we? And that water that has come through a bowser has not come through the water service provider.
No, we don't even know the source of that water.
That's where the issues would come in.
That's where the issues come. It's true.
Speaking
of health,
we thank God for the report.
We thank God for the report, Abby.
Okay. Health, universal.
Well, yes. Edu Afia, we spoke about this briefly yesterday when we were talking about something else.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
It's the cover for students. All right? Now, having gone to India, some students are stuck there because the Edu Afia cover has dried up. 2 months ago, so it's a story of a couple who are telling a story for their daughter Tofista and her daughter Rachel and son have been in India to seek medical attention at the Sanaa International Hospital. On the other side of the phone, she's distracted with people and they're shouting at her, but she's focused on the conversation. She says, "I'm sorry," and I quote, "They are asking me to move my luggage elsewhere. I don't have a place to sleep for the night. My mind is full and I don't know where to go. At the top of my mind is a place I'd get to prepare porridge for myself, my ailing daughter, and my son, who is at my daughter's bedside." Now, she left Kenya for India after a doctor at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital referred her to the facility where her daughter's hip bones started degenerating due to sickle cell. She was assured that the Edu Afia Medical Scheme, a high school student medical cover that was under the defunct National Health Insurance Fund, would cater for her treatment. She's 18 years old, and when she turned 3, she was diagnosed with sickle cell. So, of course, she went through all of this and went through crises, and her bones began to deteriorate. Now, she's one of 3,000 candidates who registered for last year's exams but missed out because of this illness. She said that the first month in India was smooth. But around December last year, she was notified that the medical costs would come to an end on the, would come to an end on the 31st, essentially her cover. She was confused because she didn't have money to pay for the hospital bill out of pocket, and she knew that Edu Afia was going to cover and cater for everything. So December 6th, she was discharged and told, "Well, you're done, you must go." She remembered that she couldn't because obviously she needed to be treated. Her daughter needed at least 24 more days of care. The visa and accommodation payment also lapsed at the same time. So they were aware that it comes to an end on this day. They're giving you visa and everything according to the last day of your treatment. She had a bill of 900,000 shillings at the time of this conversation, since a readmission for 7 days. In the same hospital, there's another 18-year-old whose script reads the same. She arrived in the country in September, and her daughter's treatment started immediately. 2 months into the treatment, the hospital told her that her medical would cease after being paid by Edu Afia. She's now saddled with a bill of over 2 million shillings. So, this continues to be the case, where a number of students have gone out under the Edu Afia cover, but are not able to access treatment and they are stuck. And so the big question is, what is going on?
So what
Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha had said previously at a conference that claims for the scheme were going up every year, and that according to her, there is some kind of fraud that they're trying to investigate. And as they're investigating that, they are putting in certain stops. But unfortunately, what's happening now is that students who are actually in need of this are left.
You know, so Edu Afia, just like Linda Mama, these are programs, and the other one for Azai, which never went to the health side. These are programs where the government, the National Treasury, releases money to NHIF to cater for this. So when Edu Afia, all children, school-going children, are in basic education, are covered 100% through NHIF. Senior,
yes,
that money should be coming from the National Treasury.
Yes.
Just like we have the free maternity program, Linda Mama, where you go into a public facility, you're delivered of a baby, you go home, it's fully catered for by NHIF. That money should come from the Treasury. If the Treasury is not releasing money to NHIF, NHIF has no money to do what?
To cover.
As simple as that.
Zimbo. Now can you imagine what's happening? Imagine somebody who is outside the country. And this is a child.
Yes.
This is a child that you've taken outside the country for treatment because doctors here have recommended to take this child out.
Yes.
And the insurer has said, all right, we will take care of the bill.
They've done all
and
the
then
pre-authorization.
The insurer does not pay. And now you've been kicked out of a hospital. You need to go to...
You need treatment.
Yes.
Imagine this girl who is dealing with a degenerative disease of the bone.
Yeah, my God.
Walking is an issue. The pain continues. You needed at least another 3 weeks of the treatment to maintain where you were.
Yeah.
And you're told, and there's no please or I beg. It's not please, let me figure this out.
Pay.
You're done. You go.
Yep.
The last day of your treatment is today. Out. And you're not going to come back and say, can I? No. The bed is being dressed. Somebody else is occupying it.
You pay.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these things are the ones that really you...
It breaks my heart because imagine that there's not just one case. There are a number of them who are in the same position.
These are those cases that we're talking about that are outside the country.
Yes.
There would be very many actual need cases in the country, as well. Same thing happened.
Anybody who traveled today on Edu Afia is going to have an issue.
Universal health coverage is supposed to start the 1st of January 2024, right? We're on the 10th of January 2024. Instead of talking about UHC and what UHC is working and not working, the president is laying foundation stones for affordable houses. Okay?
Yeah.
Yesterday, he was in his home turf of Uasin Gishu, and he vowed to firmly deal with corrupt judges whom he accused of having teamed up with his political rivals to frustrate his bid to address the challenges of unemployment and provide affordable housing and healthcare to Kenyans. It's been suggested to me that the previous regime, let me add a few words here, of which I was a member, end of my words, had a budget to bribe the courts. But I want to categorically tell you that my government will not spend a single cent on bribery, said Ruto, while defending the housing initiative and universal health coverage. He made the remarks in his Uasin Gishu home turf when he launched affordable housing projects in Kapsuswa and Pioneer, as well as the construction of the 1.5 billion Eldoret 64 markets. On Sunday, the president had struck conciliatory tone and called on the three arms of government to work together. He had said, let us not have unnecessary competition between the executive and the judiciary, which wastes time in building our country. I'm calling on all arms of government to work in harmony for the benefit of Kenyans. But yesterday he said, we respect the independence of the judiciary, but that does not constitute sabotaging public interest. There are rights that are enshrined in Article 43 of the Constitution, social and economic rights, and I will not part with even a shilling for bribes in court.
Okay.
He was defending the housing and UHC programs and vowed to wipe out corruption in the judiciary, saying those who have moved to court to hold the initiatives don't have the interests of Kenyans at heart. Now, I don't know. Is he saying that the people who are going to court are the ones who are going to bribe the judges, or is he saying the people who are going to court have been bribed by his political rivals?
How did this discussion of bribery enter this particular discussion?
Of this one?
I mean, the unhappiness about court decisions is registered, is understood. Where does bribery come into all this?
It has been suggested to him that the previous regime was bribing judges.
Yes.
So what has that got to do with the court orders that have been issued recently?
It appears that he is not bribing judges, so he's
that's
getting
why
unfavorable decisions.
Yeah, they're kicking out his things.
It's an allegation. Is it an accusation? Is there proof?
Well, that's a good question, eh?
None that he has presented.
So was he talking in his capacity as a president, or is he talking in his capacity as a citizen? And is he capable of talking in his capacity as an ordinary citizen?
Without the influence of the presidency?
Yes. Is it possible that anything he utters?
Absolutely not.
No way.
So
William Ruto is the president of the Republic of Kenya.
So when he speaks, the
when the
president
head of
is speaking.
state says that the previous administration was practicing in unlawful ways of influencing the judiciary, he should come up with what we call evidence. Actually, he should take action.
Not only take action, we did have a radical surgery. Why doesn't he just begin one? So that we
No, he
understand.
shouldn't. There's a constitution. The president should not do anything like radical surgery of the judiciary. That is not in his purview. That thing went out kitambo sana. There is a way in which if you have an issue with a certain judge, take the particular complaint about a specific judge and let it follow due process, and then let that judge be removed from office, and any other action shall be taken on the judge thereafter.
You cannot flirt with presupposition here.
Yes.
You can't do that. If you are saying something as serious as that, what this alleges, then deal with it.
Do you know how far that allegation goes?
My goodness.
No, I'm talking of radical surgery. What you're saying, Eric, is what probably would refer in the current context to radical surgery. Follow that due process.
Absolutely.
And remove the disease. But if that accusation then is taken at face value, then the accusation is that there is bribery afoot in the judiciary.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're sorry,
go no, please go ahead.
If you're alleging such a thing, you're also saying that other processes, judicial processes, then have been the image has been besmirched by this same thing.
Yes.
The entire process.
Yes.
But now you only want to point at it when it comes to something for which you are passionate about. You cannot do that. If there's a rot, you cut it out. Because if you don't, it will kill you. And now the president should open his mouth and say that. Then why are we not seeing requisite action?
You know, this is where Pandora comes in. Because...
And she has opened her box.
Yes, if that... Has she now? If that is the allegation, then how far do we take this accusation, and which arm of the judiciary do we leave out? Do we say they're exempt from this accusation? Let's start with the Supreme Court and just come down. Appellant court, High Court,
it's everywhere.
Registry, everywhere.
Special court.
Even the registries.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And it's the same thing that Uhuru Kenyatta did when he refused to appoint some judges, and then he sent a memo to court saying, I did not appoint these judges because I have some sufficient evidence that these guys are corrupt. He is not removing them from office. He's not... what he has not done is promote a judge from the High Court to Court of Appeal. The judge still remains a judge of the High Court.
Yes.
But you say, I have information that this judge is corrupt, so I can't promote him to the Court of Appeal. And what absolute nonsense was that?
Yeah. And
it's the same thing that we are seeing here with Ruto. So he comes in and he appoints those judges. But now, here he's saying, I hear that judges are bribed left, right, and center. I am not going to bribe judges, but judges are now being bribed and they are frustrating my work. If you have an issue, follow due process, Mr. President.
Isn't it deja vu?
It is simple as that.
The same thing that the immediate former president was complaining about is the same thing that is being complained about now.
Yes. The same president at the beginning of all of this actually came out and said that the judiciary was being targeted over certain things, and he's not going to allow that. Not under my watch.
And now?
And then now what has changed in a year?
They're being bribed under his watch. And he will not.
Let me tell you, this Pandora's box is not a good one, because if the president of the country says that there is bribery afoot in the judiciary, do you know what you're actually saying?
You know, what I do not like in this conversation, and there's a convergence of minds and thought here from all sides. That's why even yesterday when Jimmy Wanjege was here, and the day before when Okoh Mtata was here, and they're also talking about, the judges this, judges that, judges this, and you're like, aye.
Surely.
Aye. And Menasir Abdullahi, senior counsel Paul Moite also weighing in on this particular matter. Senior jurists in this country weighing in on the matter. You're like, what are you people doing?
What have you been doing all this time? If suddenly this revelation has hit you in the head,
it's not a revelation.
That's what the way
it's a game that's afoot. What they are doing is it's a calculated game of tarnishing the judiciary towards a certain end. When Gishero and the late Gishero, Chief Justice then, and Justice Ringera did that radical surgery on the judiciary, they removed judges, right? We came up with a new constitution and said, to start on a clean slate, with a clean slate, we are going to have another removal of judges, all right? Sharad Rao was appointed. Sharad Rao removed judges and magistrates. And now we said, clean slate, going forth, any issue against a judge, you shall follow due process and a judge shall be removed from office. Sonko followed due process. Sonko recorded a judge. Sonko presented a petition. Sonko followed through. A judge has been removed from office, or at least a report has come to recommend that this judge be removed from office.
We saw the process in action.
Yes, Sonko has followed due process. Mr. President, if you have anything against any particular judge, please
you are after
follow
all the
due
president.
Process. Let the constitution that you sought to uphold by that sword that you tell us about every day
take course.
Take course, please. This mumbo of standing in, really, wow, my judge, it's very, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Very. And I think this is not good. Anyway, let's talk about KRA in the next hour. Sawa?
Yay.
Paying taxes. Do you have the e-teams? Do you know what that is? We'll tell you about it. Keep it here, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asato. Wiper leader and Azimio principal Kalonzo Musyoka has condemned the government's continued onslaught on the judiciary, saying the attacks are unwarranted. In an interview with KTN News, Kalonzo said that the judiciary is an independent body that should be allowed to do its job as prescribed under the Constitution.
We had the executive coming out fighting the judiciary, which is completely uncalled for. Even the latest statement I see from William Ruto somewhere in Eldoret urging collaboration on the one hand, and on the other hand his deputy is out there pouring vitriol against the judiciary. Now, some of us take this as a very serious matter. Aggression against any arm of government is actually aggression against the rule of law and, by extension, a threat to democracy.
On allegations by the president that some judges are corrupt, Kalonzo said that there is a well-stipulated procedure on how cases against judges should be handled and that the president should follow the laid-down process.
Let him be explicit. Let us see some action. Nothing prevents the DCI from moving on some judges and without, of course, dragging a judge before a magistrate. I once appeared in court when the Deputy Chief Justice was dragged to a magistrate's court. And I actually went and appeared on record for that. There must be decorum. As long as there's decorum, call them out. If there are judges who are corrupt, he must understand the judicial arm of government is independent, should be independent under Constitution 2010, and that is not a matter that can be negotiated.
Members of Parliament in the National Assembly say that students across the country won't be able to report to school as the NGCDF funds have not been released. Led by Rarieda MP Otiende Molo, they say that no county has been able to receive the funds that had been set for disbursement by the 20th of December last year.
No single constituency has received a single cent of the NGCDF funds. None of us here have received no single member of Parliament. By now, CDF allocation on bursaries should be 35% of the CDF allocation, which translates to about 18.5 billion. No single cent has been disbursed in this respect, with the consequence that there are many pupils and students who are stranded all over this country. As we speak, CDF allocation for the year should be 63 billion shillings. Because we are in the third quarter, by now we should have received at least 75% of this money, which translates to just about 46 billion. To date, as of this date, no single amount has been received, despite all sorts of utterances that you may have heard elsewhere.
The MPs have further warned the government against making statements that imply that they've received the money and failed to release it.
So these false statements lead citizens to think that MPs have received money and they are sitting on it. We want to make it clear that we have not received it, and we urge the government to immediately release this entire amount of CDS allocation that we ought to have received.
Shan's court has directed the state to charge controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie and 67 others over the Shakahola deaths within the next 14 days. Senior Magistrate Yusuf Shikanda said failure for the state to do so, they'll be released on bail. Mackenzie and his co-accused have been in custody since April last year after being suspected of being behind the death of over 400 people. This then comes as Mackenzie was in December sentenced to 1 year in prison for the offence of operating a film studio and producing films without a valid license. And a family in a village in Kirinyaga County celebrating the stellar performance of two identical twins, the boys Dennis Kariuki and Davis Kariuki. Students at Kirimunge Mixed Day Secondary School both scored a mean grade of A-, getting nearly identical grades in all the subjects graded. The two hope to join the University of Nairobi to study chemical engineering and law. Israel is set to appear before the International Court of Justice this week in a high-stakes case that could determine the cause of the brutal war in Gaza. It is an unprecedented case. Experts say it is the first time that the Jewish state is being tried under the United Nations Genocide Convention, which was drawn up after the Second World War in light of the atrocities committed against the Jewish people during the Holocaust. The South African government, a successor to the apartheid regime that was made a pariah on the international stage 3 decades ago, brought the case against Israel, accusing it of being in breach of its obligations under the convention in its war on Hamas in Gaza. Israel has firmly rejected the accusation, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling it a false accusation. Israeli President Isaac Herzog said that his country will present a case using self-defense to show that it is doing its utmost under extremely complicated circumstances to avert civilian casualties casualties in Gaza. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, it's a busy morning, and on Jogoro this morning, as you're getting out towards that roundabout at City Stadium, it's starting to pack up quite some. And on Haile Selassie, it started early, in and outbound traffic doing the thing. All right, let's look on the Thika Superhighway, and traffic is tailing back towards Outer Ring at the junction. Your service lanes are doing good this morning, but till once you get to survey, everything then narrows down a little bit. On Limuru Road, it's also starting to build up. Let's take a look at Wayaki Way. Coming into the city, not too much. It's flowing, so no hold-ups as yet. And as we look at Ngong Road coming into the city also, that's going to slow down a little bit as you get to that Haile Selassie junction. All right, Mombasa Road looks good, not having an issue here. And as you get onto North Airport Road coming in from Cabanas, then you get to the Outer Ring Junction and you're going through towards the Eastern Bypass, through to the Ruai Junction. Nothing happening here this morning. Let's see what happens as we get closer to traffic hour, but it looks good and it looks like traffic already starting to look a little better over the last couple of days. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X as we keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Welcome to the
only way to start your day.
Happy Wednesday. It's the 10th day, as in it was New Year just the other day. We're 10 days into the New Year.
Yes.
Kwani ni nini?
Cracker.
You know, this is how last year started.
Just like that, boom, February, December, and it's gone.
Completely.
This is moving too fast. Too fast, very fast. Schools have opened.
Yes, very fast, very fast.
Primary schools opened. Secondary schools opened. Form 1's joining?
On Monday, Tuesday.
What?
Yes.
Nikusonga.
Let's go.
Nikusonga. And school heads are saying, okay, so now money. Machogi is saying, yeah, money has been released. Released.
School heads are saying our account remains the same.
Well, he's talking about it being released. His body language is telling us he's looking for it.
It's been released. School heads saying our account remains the same. We're waiting.
Let's go to the shop.
Let's go to the shop. It's going to be necessary. Because school heads have lists 3 pages long. You know, of this particular socks, this particular innerwear, this particular thing. The list is very,
bought
very
at
long.
this particular shop.
Yes, please. And it has to look a certain way. For uniformity. And it costs a pretty penny. It's not cheap stuff. So you're wondering, how on earth are we going to do this? Well, for those of you who haven't, Kiwi is saying we can still step up and shine even in this way. So go to a supermarket, go to your shop, wherever you will find the Kiwi with this new logo. Okay? You will purchase it. Whether it's the 40 grams or this one like I have, which is the 80 grams. Buy it. Look at this Starburst. There is a code. The code is *459 *5#. Then what you'll do, you'll pop the lid. Pop! Under the lid is another code. Enter this code as you dial that number. You're going to get airtime. You're going to get or data. You also get a chance to enter into a draw. This draw, as we do the thing, 4 people every week being picked, 35,000 shillings. That list of 45 pages will be sorted out.
Why?
This school fees.
Why?
You can do it. Yeah. Buy Kiwi, step up and shine today.
That's it.
Evo.
That's it. People are asking, so which is this Maramoja app that we're downloading? So go to your app store, find Maramoja Transport. It's the
blue
one.
Blue.
The one with the blue icon, click on it, download that one. It's free to download. Once you download, you register. Maramoja Taxi is Kenya's best taxi hailing app. Okay? It is Kenyan, owned and run by Kenyans, and therefore it's also very, very good. And there are very many benefits to it. Number one benefit is it's easy for you to identify a driver and to match yourself with that driver. And even for future, you can use the same driver.
Same, and they also inform you how far away the driver is.
Yes.
But what I like about it is that it isn't one of these microscopic pictures of the driver trying to figure out what is this male or female. No. It is a full picture, and you're told this guy is 11 minutes away, and this is the vehicle, the color. So you can decide, maybe the fellow's near, but you don't like the car he has. So you decide, But of interest, they have a wallet. Now this wallet, like all wallets, is supposed to have money.
Yes.
Now, there is...
Plus IDs.
Kabisa kila kitu hapo ndani ya hiyo wallet. So, if you deposit money in that wallet, mara moja does a thing for you, give you another 50% of the amount you put. Meaning if you put 1 shilling, they give you 50 cents.
Yes.
Okay? If you put 100 shillings, they give you 50 shillings. Like that. Right? But of interest also, if you add as you are applying, there's like a small little new promo code you add. You say Spice at 30.
Yes.
And you get a 30% discount.
Like that.
So essentially, if you do the maths, 50 plus 30, 80 imeongezwa.
Imagine.
Yes.
Aye. Hivyo tu, Maramoja Taxi ni yetu. Let's talk about tax now, not taxi.
Not taxi.
Maramoja Tax. Do you know ITIMS? You? Si team ya mpira.
Kweli?
Teams.
You know,
TIMS.
You know, when you ask, I was about to ask you, are they in our Super League or are they in the Premier League?
Or they're playing in AFCON.
Yes.
Electronic Tax Invoice Management System.
Okay.
Yes. With KRA. Now we're joined by Hakamba Wangwe. She is the Chief Manager for ITIMS, the Electronic Tax Invoice Management System at the Kenya Revenue Authority. Good morning, Hakamba.
Morning to you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Thank
Tena
you for
sana.
having me here.
City will welcome you with the day's proverb. Every week, City goes to one African country.
Okay.
He brings us every day a different proverb from that country.
Okay.
And then we ask our guests to give us their interpretation of that proverb. This week, the proverbs are from the Republic of Kenya. You know that country?
Yes.
Yeah, the taxpayers of that country are called Wahenga. Everybody else is not a taxpayer. Now, the Wahenga came up with a proverb. City?
Yes. And the proverb was actually in Kiswahili. So the opportunity the guest has is translate it into English and then now tell us what he thinks, she thinks it means. Chura haina manyoya.
Chura haina manyoya.
A frog does not have fur.
Fur.
Yes.
Oh, fur. Oh, okay.
Feathers is okay.
Feathers.
Okay, but fur is good.
Yeah, okay.
What's your interpretation of it?
I know, right? Same boat, sis.
Oh, wow.
It's obvious.
It's not obvious. Is that really a proverb? Chura haina manyoya.
Can I spice it up for you so that it sounds like a proverb?
Yes.
Once upon a time, there was a frog.
The end.
There are proverbs that sound like proverbs because they are lengthy and they are cryptic. But proverbs are just sayings.
Yeah.
Yes. They are meant to highlight something that is sometimes obvious, but then it isn't obvious to someone. So when you say it, it becomes, oh, but isn't it obvious that this is so?
Okay.
Yes.
So my interpretation of it, I think, is that we have to treat a situation as it comes. So if you know how to skin, for example, to defeather a chicken, if you're talking about feathers, or to remove fur from an animal, then for a frog, what it does is leap. So if you need to treat it, then you need to look at their circumstance and treat it accordingly. I don't know.
Good.
It's very good.
Wow.
It's good.
That's deep.
That's very good.
That's a good interpretation.
No, that's an excellent interpretation.
Asante sana.
Excellent.
Asante.
But that interpretation has left out people who eat frogs. They wouldn't quite treat that proverb the same way, but nonetheless. But this is excellent. Thank you.
It means for them it's easier.
Yes, it's much
They
easier.
don't have to start by defeathering.
No.
Before they...
You just proceed.
Yeah, they go straight to proceed. Electronic tax invoice management system. What is it, Hakamba?
It's just that electronic tax invoice management system. Now, basically, it's a step above what we've been doing as taxpayers. I'm going to count myself as a taxpayer.
Yeah.
Where when it
I hope
comes,
you are.
I am. Of course, I am. But when you have to account for your tax liability, anytime you need to support your tax liability, you have to have the records of transaction. For example, your sales records, you need your purchase records to be able to say, really, when I say my liability is 30,000 shillings, it's because I have these purchases, I have these sales, and that's why I was able to determine how much my tax liability is. Now, it's something that we have been doing over time because the law has required us to do that. In any form, we have been doing that. Some have been doing it manually, maintaining a record of their transaction. Some have been having the electronic billing systems, depending on their level of technology. Now, the taxman is saying we have not caught up. So now we need to catch up so that we get to where technology has gotten globally in terms of revenue administration. And where technology has gotten globally is to automate that process so that instead of relying on varied ways of maintaining these records, then we are trying to standardize, then we are trying to use technology to become more efficient. So that's where electronic tax invoice management has gotten us to. And it's a journey that honestly we started with the VAT registered taxpayers back in 2005 when we introduced the ETR devices. That was the attempt to getting there. But when it came to the real-time approach, we took a bit long, but in the past 2 years, VAT registered taxpayers right now are already on that platform and are transmitting their invoices. Now, that brought us to the next level where for accounting for VAT, we've been able to achieve this much. Why don't we extend the same approach as is for best practice to income tax registered taxpayers? So beginning September, this is the introduction of electronic tax invoice management taxpayers for taxpayers who are not registered for VAT, and that means it's the entire population.
Let us go back into this ETR system and how it worked and whom it affected. And then I will come into eTIMS and understand, so who else is it going to be netting?
Okay.
So ETR, what was it?
ETR,
that's a gadget.
Yes, yes. So it was the electronic fiscal devices that we were using. Basically, yes, the gadgets. You talk about the Android devices, basically handheld devices. What we were trying to achieve with that was that we had a segment of our VAT registered taxpayers who didn't have any kind of system they were using for invoicing. So we were trying to introduce that device. It's simple to use. It's partially manual, but it's very simple to use. They just get to generate a receipt, and at that point, it was enough. But when we introduced the tax invoice management system, what we were saying, with the same approach, with the same devices, can we add specifications so that now transmit those invoices to carry? So that was the second level. It was affecting the VAT registered taxpayers only.
So initially, the gadget was producing a receipt.
Yes.
But this was not transmitting to KRA. Was KRA coming into contact with this information at any stage?
Yes, because again, what we did for our requirements is that even as we started the ETRs, we also started automating the KRA systems. Now we started implementing iTax.
Yes.
So iTax got to the point of being delivered by 2015. We had fully delivered iTax, but then now what we were requiring from the ETR receipts is that when you are filing your VAT return, you needed to maintain an Excel template, a CSV file, populate the details of what is being generated from the ETR and import into the iTax system. So it was kind of semi-manual. And our vision or our objective was to make it automatic, that you open your VAT return and you're able to actually see a record of those transactions actually available at the Revenue Authority already, so that we simplify that process. So our promise to the taxpayer is, as we're implementing these systems, we also want to simplify the tax filing process.
You get that. So this gadget, everybody had to acquire the gadget. Everybody had to register on iTax. So every 20th, you find people doing that whole, by the 20th, you are doing that whole transferring of that receipt into the Excel and uploading it on iTax and filing your VAT returns, okay? And then last year, KRA tells everybody you have to buy a new gadget. And this new gadget now is electronic, blah, 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 this and the other, and you can even upgrade the gadget that you have. What was that all about?
Now, last year, it was the introduction of e-teams.
Okay.
So
was it the previous year that
yeah, but
last year
2 years back.
2022.
2 years back, yes. Yeah, it was 2022.
Okay. So in 2022, when you're telling people to now buy the new gadgets, what was that all about?
It was about technology getting obsolete. So even as we rolled out the devices in 2005, from 2005 to 2022, those devices did not have capability to maintain, first of all, to store the amount of invoices that we were projecting to transmit, and we needed those invoices stored. Those devices could not transmit. Some of them could not connect to internet. So for the ones who had smart devices, especially the ones on Android, all they needed to do was to upgrade. But the ones who had those ones we rolled out in 2005, they had to buy new ones.
So essentially the shelf life of these gadgets is how many years?
Basically technology, when you talk about PCs, laptops, I think you give it a shelf life of 3 years for good functionality. You can see our taxpayers used them for over 10 years. You'll be using, but there'll be so much that is being added that yours cannot take up.
Did KRA take the time to inform people about this ahead of time and tell them by this date you needed to have changed and done this and the other?
Yes, we always do that. Let me just mention that we started the plan to start moving to the device-based approach teams. We started in 2016. So from 2016, we were just in the process of development, stakeholder engagement. The law was in place from 2020. So you can see there was a lot of time that was passing for us to get ready to this implementation.
And yes. in relaying this information, was there an opportunity to get feedback from the users of that old technology and people who are taxpayers to tell you what they thought about the information that you're giving them?
Yes, again, even as we were putting the law in place, what we did is we are required by law, by the way, to do the public participation so that you're able to see what really is the ground saying. And what was happening at that time, because we had already implemented the ATR regime, the thought was we start from where we are, and where we were is the integration with the electronic fiscal devices, and automate that to be able to just transmit invoices before we can now explore what else technology has and just feed it into that implementation.
Okay. I haven't finished this thing.
Yes, okay.
May I continue?
Please,
yes. So when you had your public participation, the feedback that you got, if we were to collate that information, how much did it influence then the implementation of what it is that you then put out to the public?
Actually a lot, because you know what happened is that at the point, you remember I mentioned that we started this thought in 2016.
Yes.
By 2016, the idea of why don't we explore the different technology? Why don't we do the system-to-system integration? But then the other feedback was, where are our taxpayers at? Where are they right now? They are at the electronic fiscal devices. So why don't we just deal with simply adding the functionality of transmitting invoices? Then before we introduce a big change that probably might be, where we are at e-teams right now, when everyone is saying that probably maybe it's too much technology for the smaller taxpayers. So we were starting small, but introduce the advanced technology as time goes by. So at least that was the feedback that we were able to receive, so that even as our thought process was, wait a minute, we can do the software approach, we can do this, we can do so many other solutions, but let's start by transmission first. So actually that's how the decision came about.
Okay. The thing about, I'm sure you know, taxes in Kenya is that even when it comes to filing taxes, everybody has questions about how this would be done. And so now we're at the point whereby a new technology is being introduced to folks who have no choice but to make these payments. What is the fundamental difference between ETR, which has been used up until now, and what is the difference? And for whom is this change? Is it for KRA to do its work easier? Or is there any kind of benefit for the individuals and the organizations and the companies who have to pay tax? For whom is this new technology beneficial?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question, because maybe even furthering the conversation we've had on Teams, automating the fiscal devices, by the time we rolled out, we actually realized that we were able to onboard most of the large and medium taxpayers, actually 95% of large and medium taxpayers. Then we looked around, where are the small ones and what is their problem? So what we came to discover was that the cost of compliance was so high for the smaller taxpayers. And then now we just thought about it. The smaller taxpayers have laptops, have tablets, have computers, which they are using in their course of business. So what we had to introduce was the free software, which is now eTeams, and then flexible solutions, so that for example, a taxpayer who is just dealing with services only, all they need is to get credentials from for them to be able to access a revenue KRA system to be able to generate invoices. So the flexible solutions that include the mobile app, the free software that can be installed on the laptops, phones, tablets, etc., the online portal that we only need credentials for, served the smaller taxpayers better. And we saw uptake going up again. So in the course of 2023, most of the taxpayers who we onboarded were actually the smaller taxpayers, those ones who are registered for VAT. So come now, the law coming in place and us putting it out there, that apart from VAT registered taxpayers, then those who are not registered for VAT, that include all people with business income. They must be residents, they must be citizens, or if they are non-residents, they must have permanent establishment in this country. They need to support their transactions with an electronic tax invoice. Basically, what it is saying is that from this tax return that is going to be filed for this current year, then what the taxpayers have been doing, whenever they are doing their profit and loss account, they will declare their turnover, they will declare their expenses in one way or the other. So you're saying those expenses, they have been maintaining a record, even manual ones, so to be able to support, if you say that you bought machinery, where are the receipts? But now we are saying those receipts need to be electronic tax invoices.
How were you able to collate this information prior to this eTeams technology?
Mostly manual. Still coming back to that, mostly manual, because if we have now to assess, to do a tax assessment based on taxpayers' declarations, what we'll be receiving, some people would actually come with a pickup when they're bringing their receipts. And it's not practical. It's not practical. So we knew this is something that we need to do, have a database of this information, save the taxpayers from that headache of trying to find their records 5 years back, because we have the records with us. Save ourselves the time. We go and spend at the taxpayers' premises a month over trying to go through boxes and boxes of receipts just to try to determine that this is actually matches with what the taxpayer declared.
Okay, so this is a real-time process according to what you're saying. So can we just break it down a little bit for really bite-sized understanding? I sell shoe polish, my shop full, okay? I now get the new software on my phone, eTeams, and we are going to assume for the purposes of the conversation that it is seamless. I can download it, I get it on my phone, it is working, right? Eric comes to my shop today. He buys 1 tin of polish. At the time that he buys, on the phone, I input 1 shoe polish, 100 shillings.
Sold.
This is the amount. It automatically calculates VAT, all of those things. The receipt is also a soft copy. It's in the system. I can give Eric a receipt. I can print it out, whatever. I can give him, because it allows me to do that. I can hook it up to the technology. I print a receipt. Eric has his receipt. The system, according to what you're saying, then generates a receipt that goes directly to KRA, or does it remain in my cloud somewhere, and then on the 20th, when KRA is asking me to do all of these things, then we can collate? Or does it mean that as I'm selling, KRA is also getting my receipts and they're able to see activity? What is it?
Yes, but let me just qualify that. For KRA to get the receipt, they need the taxpayer needs to connect to internet. So yes, in the process of you making your transaction, suppose you don't have an internet connection, the system will actually store those invoices until such a time you have a connection. It transmits all of them.
Very good. You know why? Have we taken into consideration how many of these small businesses have access to this internet now that is obviously being demanded of them to be compliant with this new technology?
Now, I just come to think about it. The internet coverage in this country, when you think about it, the percentage coverage of internet is actually really good for this country, that even if in some areas it might be intermittent, and I come from one of these areas, it is there. It is available, so that it's able to support business, because as you can see, our communication sector has done really, really well in terms of technology and rolling out solutions so that we can be able to communicate.
Okay.
So let's take a break. Okay. We'll continue shortly. It's 28 minutes to 8. We are hosting Makamba Wangwe. She is the Chief Manager in charge of eTeams. That's the Electronic Tax Invoice Management System. New system being rolled out by the Kenya Revenue Authority. She's here to explain to us what this is all about and who requires this eTeams and how do you get it. And again, like Ndu is asking, what's the benefit to you as a taxpayer? What's the benefit to the government? Okay, this conversation continues shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Some very nice, mature music.
They really take me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It wants tax. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, yenin there, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him, who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. Because Adam messed up and he was told, no, you fellow, you.
The weather.
In Nairobi this morning, currently at 16, highs of 24 and lows of 15. Looking into a partly sunny Nakuru at 16, highs of 24 and 25 will be the high. In a sunny Nyeri at 14, it's 14 and cloudy in Eldoret, highs of 22 and lows of 13. We're looking at cloudy conditions at 25 in Mombasa and sunny at 26 in Malindi. Kisumu this morning is cloudy at 20. We'll see highs of 26 through Wednesday and highs of 26 as well, and a mostly cloudy Kakamega at 18. Kampala still heavily clouded this morning, highs of 27 and lows of 20, while it's cloudy in Dar es Salaam at 26. We'll see highs of 31. Johannesburg is cloudy this morning at 16 with highs of 25. Mogadishu sunny at 25 with highs of 32. The sun is trying to peek through those hazy clouds in Addis Ababa, highs of 23 and lows of 10, while it's clear in Lagos at 26 and cloudy in Kinshasa at 24.
Spice up your life.
All right, so we're looking at still jam-packed situations on Jogo Road, heading out towards Landis, and then on Haile Selassie. It's crossing over Huru Highway, and some of that incoming from Gong Road is going to be busy for most parts of the morning. And then, voila, there's traffic coming on Limuru Road, coming in from City Park, Muthaiga, all of that's happening into the city. Very heavy on the Thika Superhighway, and we're seeing Outer Ring delivering some of that towards the Thika Superhighway as well. You'll be fine coming on Waiyaki Way, getting into the CBD, at least for now. It's going to break a little bit and then hold up as you get onto Chiromo, heading through towards the CBD. We're in traffic hour. It starts now. Let's keep an eye on things and see how they progress through the morning. Talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversation continues with Hakamba Wangwe, the KRA Chief Manager for Electronic Tax Invoice Management System, eTIMS. The requirement for eTIMS now extends to even those who are not registered for VAT. And now this goes into small businesses and individuals running small businesses. Those that are registered as a business name, those are registered as small businesses, those are not even registered. Everybody who's basically trading and will need to file with KRA at some point will need to connect to eTIMS. Am I right?
Correct.
Even individuals.
Eric, I think maybe to just put it in perspective, yes. Even individuals have been registered for VAT and are already transmitting invoices to KRA. But when you look at what the law says, is that in fact this month of January is where there was a bit of worry for most of the taxpayers, because what we said is that effective 1st January, all taxable expenditure or expenditure that needs to be accounted for in taxes must be supported with an electronic tax invoice. Now, we're looking at a situation where businesses are doing business with other businesses, issuing each other invoices, and anytime you're doing that, the other person, we are saying, needs an electronic tax invoice. Yeah. So it so happens that in this conversation, the conversation about Mama Mboga has come in, and it was nice to know that the Mama Mboga are actually, in fact, the biggest feedback we received was from the manufacturing entities, the retail outlets, saying that people who supply to them are too small. But then we were also happy to see that the smallest of our taxpayers are actually facing up. They're actually supporting major industry in this country. So what we needed, because now us knowing that they have an impact on what their revenue declaration is or their tax declarations are, we thought it's an important sector to actually pay attention to, identify what their challenge is, because we definitely need to know more about this impact that actually they have on the major industry, but then also identify what challenges they might be having in them being able to comply. Now, I've talked about eTIMS and the solutions that we have in eTIMS. From the feedback, once again, that we've gotten from these industries saying the entities that supply them are too small, they are not able to maintain records of transactions. If we can simplify the process better, yes, we listened, we heard, and we worked through December, through the holidays, 25th, 24th, worked through the holidays to make sure that we have stepped into, once again, a lower level solution that would be fit for even smaller taxpayers. And as we speak right now, we have the first of these solutions actually already hosted on the eCitizen platform, more simplified than eTIMS. See, for eTIMS, I think maybe most of the concerns were the process of getting on board eTIMS, the whole registration sign-up, which is necessary so that you can be able to identify the person who is doing business, entering the product, stock management, that businesses with technical know-how are okay with, but the smaller taxpayers might have challenges with. So we now have even, we've stepped down a level further so that we have an even more simplified solution for these smaller taxpayers, reducing the loop that we had for the other solutions for taxpayers to come on board, and just make sure that should this taxpayer now, for example, make their supplies to a certain exporter, for example, their avocados, we've heard a lot about avocados and tomatoes, they're actually able to just generate an invoice, support that supply, and enable this person also to support their purchases with an electronic tax invoice.
So let me first of all just clarify, and then I'll tell you a big problem that I have here. So what we are saying is small businesses like the mamambogas, like Ndu's Duka kiosk that sells shoe polish, mukate, ngumu, soda, juice ya Pakto, Core, Tropical, KSL, those ones, all of those need to have the ATMs.
Yes, but again, I'm still going to come back to what we require right now. Right now, the ones facing off with other business entities. So if Ndu's shop is also making a supply to maybe the next primary school, they're the ones who also supply milk there.
Yes.
Then Ndu, at this point, 1st January, also needs to onboard eTIMS.
Very good.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ndu does.
Yeah.
You see, she supplies to a primary school there.
Yeah.
Supplies, also has another biashara that supplies beans to the next primary school and such, and so on and so forth. You're supplying somebody, and that person, for their own tax purposes, they require you to give them
an invoice,
an eTIMS invoice. Okay? Now, KRA rolled this program since last year, and then you received feedback and you're like, oh my God, you mean you supermarkets are actually supplied by small people? Where have you been, KRA? As you telling me that KRA did not know that small businesses supply bigger businesses that supply even bigger businesses. Are you saying that KRA was not aware that this is how business works in this country?
No, KRA.
Or even where?
Yeah.
So when you are rolling out this program, why did you start with the end? Because the impact of what you are telling the big supplier, the big supermarket to do is you're saying you are not going to come and tell me that these are your costs if you don't support them with electronic tax invoices. You're basically telling that person that you're not going to accept to be supplied to by a small business that has been supporting you. You knew that. You knew the impact of that. And yet you rolled out this program, and now you're telling us you worked over 24th, 25th to realize that you had to work this and to come up with a solution, which you still don't know whether it will work well for that small business. Why does government operate on live trials? Because this appears to be like a live trial.
You know, when we were rolling out teams, I think that's the feedback we received. We are doing a live trial, and guess what? We managed to actually complete the rollout.
The live trial worked.
Yes, that live trial worked. What we are really saying is that what we are introducing is not something that is in existence already. It's already there, because this small taxpayer we are talking about, because it's easier to focus on. In fact, the time when we started the rollout, I received a lot of SMSs. What about the mamamboga with 3 avocados, a crate of tomatoes? So this small taxpayer who is already supplying to these retail outlets is already giving them a receipt. Aren't they giving them receipts already as we speak? Are they giving them receipts?
They are giving them
They are
receipts.
giving them receipts. So when we say that now we need to formalize these receipts so that they are visible, and the most important thing is providing visibility to the Revenue Authority, because what happens when you look at those small transactions to the retail outlets, to the supermarkets, to the manufacturing entities, they do add up. And the manufacturing entities, when they're doing their income tax return, they will declare these small transactions. When we have gaps as a country or as a revenue administration, so that we can really not ascertain what the tax liability of a person is because of the gaps that are there, what is the solution to this?
So this is for KRA then?
So just starting from the point of visibility of transactions, of course it is for KRA. And just to bring us closer home, I think when you look at such an implementation, it's not out of the blue so that we say it's a trial. Let me tell you, the neighboring countries, and we count all of them around us, minus one, all of them have implemented this system from 2012. So Kenya as a country actually had remained behind.
So even had someone to benchmark with.
We have.
And yet you had to work 24th and 25th.
So just to mention,
it tells
also,
me you didn't benchmark.
So 24th and 25th, the solution we have, none of the East African countries has. So we have a different solution. So what they have, they don't have what we did for the month of December. So
you know, the issue I'm raising, and sorry just to harp on this hard like this, is you started by saying as you interact with the taxpayer who is your key stakeholder, you realize that there are various areas of challenges. One of the key challenges is the cost of compliance. Cost of compliance comes in many ways: in time, in actual cost, in technology, in knowledge and skill. So you have to hire somebody who actually understands this thing so they can log on to your iTax for you, because you have no clue what this is, right? And this is what we've seen over time. So starting from the premise of cost of compliance includes lack of skill and knowledge, and also includes lack of time and access to some of these services. Shouldn't you have started from the other way around by saying, how do we reach out to all businesses, small businesses, understanding the hustler business, the mama mboga, huyu jamaa anauza mapapai hapa na miwa hapa kwa student, all those, and then interact with them and see, so how do you do your business? You do a receipt. If I wanted to get access to that receipt, what's the best way for me to get access to that receipt? Would it be for me to tell you, get a smartphone? From that smartphone, I am now going to tell you to download an app. From that app, I'm going to be requiring you to load data. From that, then I'm going to teach you how to be getting a code so that you can access your iTax.
Still coming back to that, I think the mistake we are making is underestimating our taxpayers. When it comes to tax administration is when we say our taxpayers are technologically challenged. But the truth is, on the ground, every day, especially since COVID, most of our taxpayers have actually, for their own use, have adopted technology in one way or the other. And that's why when you go to banks right now, you don't find the queues you used to find those days when you need to go to the bank and make a withdrawal. You know, it's a whole day process because you all have to be there. What happened? The ATMs came along. Yep. They can have their mobile banking on their phones. And they have done this.
Yes.
They have done, but in other aspects, it is okay. They are able to adopt this technology. But when it comes to tax, you are like, oh, no, maybe they can't generate a receipt.
No,
Why do you think
there's
that
capacity building. There's capacity building. When you roll out a new app, like now we are talking about Maramoja taxi app. We talk about this is how you download it. It's a blue one. This is how you register. You shall go through this and the other. We don't say from tomorrow you're not going to be able to move from A to B if you don't have the app.
So no, what happened?
KRA operates from the other side. From the 1st of January, if you don't have an ETA, if you don't have an ETA.
You can, because this is another thing. So you can imagine other small, and I want to ask how this would work, because it is one concern that has been raised. So small businesses who would ordinarily invoice another business, we are saying that today you cannot then invoice without having been on e-Teams, because the receiving organization will not accept an invoice that is not e-Teams compliant. Is that what we're saying as well?
No. Okay, so now let me just start back. We don't just start like we just wake up and say KRA. We are saying from January. The law came in place in June. June. And what happens as our obligation as taxpayers, as the legislative changes are being done, you are aware, how is it affecting me? By June, I knew housing levy is going to affect me. And it did. So by June, by the time the finance bill is being read, you already actually know where the changes are going to be. And then now we started pacing ourselves from September. We said taxpayers to start onboarding. Unfortunately, they did not, because the real noise, and I think this is what is happening, started in December. So when we did the stakeholder engagement, yes, we did. We have done a lot of stakeholder engagement and still intend to do more and build capacity and do the training, taxpayer education, to make sure that we're able to reach as many of these taxpayers as possible and address whatever challenges that they are having. We also realized that our taxpayers are also not ready. And that's why I think in December, we had a public notice out towards the end of December before New Year. We said, okay, we will allow you to continue onboarding till end of March. The law has not changed. Maybe something to note. The law is still effective 1st January. So if you find yourself in a cycle where you already are deep in these transactions, the best thing to do is on board now, so that you don't have a backlog of invoices that come March, now you have to start still inputting in the system, because we have said they still have to be transmitted through the system. It's just that we'll give you some bit of concession till March, so that you make changes in your system. We try to do as much stakeholder engagement as possible, build capacity as possible, but come March, whichever transactions you'll have transacted outside the system must be visible in the system, because these people you are doing business with must still support their transactions with an electronic tax invoice. So the taxman is also understanding, as much as it does look like we've not done our groundwork, but even extending, like saying that we are giving the concession up to March, it's because of the feedback on the ground. And we come back and we're like, it's not realistic for 1st January. We need to support business continuity. We need to have food on our tables, because I think the farming sector is actually supporting us a lot. But we also need to find ways of still having visibility of these transactions, whichever way the objective it needs to be achieved for better revenue administration.
You know, the efforts that KRA makes are actually very visible. KRA has done tremendous work in making themselves user-friendly to the citizen. Those efforts are lauded, they are good, and one sees them. But please remember where we are coming from. KRA as carry, okay? We are coming from an era when it was income tax, okay? And when you got a letter, you didn't open it first. You took a walk, made a cup of tea, opened it, and then opened it slowly to read it. Now, all that has actually changed tremendously. But I'm saying, when I say remember where we're coming from, issues of tax are not things that people receive with joy and jubilation. You don't go and celebrate that you've paid taxes. You grit your teeth when you pay taxes, okay? So the effort that KRA makes, wonderful as it is, let me urge you, it is asking you to do something fairly inhuman, but it must always continue. At some point, you always get more and more disciples. People get to feel, actually, look, we can talk to KRA, we can have a chat, we can do this, and they can open doors. Now, on this matter, let me change the conversation just slightly. There's a portal, we're electronic, we're 21st century, we're communication age and all that. How useful is it? You know, I've been sitting here trying to figure out how this thing works on my phone. Hey!
Actually, let's go through it, all right?
Yes.
If CTU are one of those small businesses operating a small business and they want to onboard onto eTeams today, what do?
They need to, for them to onboard onto eTeams, they need to, first of all, for any technology, you need to sign up. There's no way you'll just go and find an off-the-shelf solution that you just generate an invoice. You don't know where the invoice is coming from. So you need to sign up. You need to identify yourself. So the signing up is there, yes. You need to say, on the eTeams portal. If you go, for example, to Google, just type eTeams portal, it will take you to the sign-up page.
ETIMS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you Google ETIMS, it shows you a portal.
It takes you to the landing page.
eTeams.kra.
Yeah, that one, .kra.go.ke.
Okay. And then?
And then now you sign up. And then you do like a service request. Service request means this. You need to identify yourself as a taxpayer, say what you do.
Okay.
Because when we talk about, for example, some of the solutions, we talked about the online portal. I mentioned that it's only good for services.
Yeah.
So the law firms are the accounting entities, they're all on the online portal. So you need to say exactly what you do. If you're moving goods, then from our end, when we are approving, we are actually approving for a client solution, so that you have to have the software installed on your device so that you can be able to generate invoices. Because with goods comes the stock management, as the inventory management aspect of it.
Okay.
That is not on the online services solution. So why I'm giving you the steps, we have sign up, we have a service request, and there's an approval on the KRA side, just to make sure that you have placed yourself in the right way. What happens is that we find some people who are trading in goods, they are requesting for the online portal. By the time we see the application, you're like, no, we are telling you that you need to install the software on your devices. So there must be that check on our end.
How long does this take? So once somebody right now goes onto Google on their mobile phone, right? They just search eTeams portal. They'll find the eteams.kra.go.ke. I'm there. So I press sign up. I put in the details. Now it's going to be on the approval side from the KRA side. How long does that take for KRA to approve?
KRA, what we've done also, we've enabled all our TSOs, our tax service offices, we have officers in each office, each station, who are actually supporting the eTeams implementation. So that as a taxpayer, once you make your application, the officers in your station should make the approval. And based on their speed, by the way, within a day, actually, you should be onboarded.
Okay.
You should be onboarded.
So will I receive a message to tell me that I've been onboarded?
You will receive a message that you
a text message?
Yes, you'll receive a text message.
Okay. So after that, after I get the text message, I've been onboarded.
You log in again.
Okay, go back now to the portal.
Yeah. And
now instead of sign up, I log in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, because you'll also receive credentials to be able to use the system. There's a one-time password, there's credentials. So basically, you just log in and now you can start invoicing.
Okay. So the next time I supply now to what is Willy Kimani's new innovative Jazza. So the new Jazza supermarkets by Willy Kimani, right? So I supply bananas to Willy Kimani's Jazza. I go with my mobile phone and then log in.
No, this is what you do. When you're supplying to Willy Kimani, you also are accompanying. He's going to make a payment. You're accompanying your supply with what?
Bananas.
So there's bananas. But as you're just following the business process. Of course, you're going to invoice. So why don't you get ready and know that once I'm paid, I have to generate an invoice for him or a receipt. So because usually you'd carry your receipt book.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes.
But now you know that you need to have a system solution. So you go ready. You just go ready. But maybe to just mention about the more simplified solution that we have on eCitizen, we are not having VAT registered taxpayers on that solution. VAT registered taxpayers will stay on our other solutions, Teams and eTeams. But this one, for the smallest of taxpayers, they can use. The ones with system-to-system integration also, they cannot use that solution because they are more advanced. They use the advanced solutions.
So the one on eCitizen,
it's for people who don't have.
It's fairly straightforward.
It's straightforward, yes. Don't have. Actually, that one now, the process is automated. There's no approval on KRA side, but you still have to enter your PIN, for example, say who you are, and so that we can also be able to identify you when the invoices are being transmitted.
Hakamba, are we going to see any campaigns, media campaigns, just taking a step-by-step onboarding onto eTeams, step-by-step onboarding onto this eCitizen, so we can know? Just like Citi keeps reminding us, the central bank told us, stop using this old 1,000 note, this is the new 1,000 note. And every day there was a clear message, this is what you do with your old 1,000 note, take it to the bank, get a new one. Are we going to get this kind of messaging to the people?
Yes, actually watch this space starting next week. You'll be seeing a lot of us. I'm already here starting this campaign.
Oh, this is part of it. So
yes, it's part of it. It's part of it. I'm already here. But from next week, watch this space. We'll actually have a lot of activity on the ground to make sure that we have a lot of information available. But we already have information available on our KRA website. We have the videos on YouTube that you can actually. We do.
Yes,
We
we
do.
do. You do.
We do. So, but we
You
can
do.
do better, and we are going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
keep coming. We'll invite you again as now this is rolled out, so that by March we see whether we all are on the same page. Because I don't even know whether I am a VAT registered. I'm not VAT registered. Should I? Hakamba, thank you for joining us.
Asante.
She is the Chief Manager in charge of Electronic Tax Invoice Management System at KRA. Her name is Akamba Wangwe. She's been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we have the CS for ICT and the digital economy. It's 8 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. As schools in the country continue to open for the first time, Sabatia MP Clement Sloyer has asked the government through Treasury to disburse NGCDF to enable schools run their activities without financial problems. Sloyer says that mainly public schools need funds for infrastructure, insisting that if the funds continue to be delayed, education activities may be interfered with.
I want to mention something about preparation for exams, in which the facilities in schools play a bigger role in ensuring that students are well prepared. But we find there are issues in releasing the capitation money meant for schools, money that is supposed to be used to upgrade the infrastructure in the schools, to put up more facilities like laboratories, libraries, and others that are important towards preparing these students. I wish and urge the government to put measures in place to ensure that capitation money is always released on time, so that head teachers and these institutions, boards of management, can prepare in advance for the students who are going to sit for the exams.
Well, the schools that recorded the best results in last year's KCSE examination continue to celebrate. Teachers, students and parents of Kowidi High School in Homa Bay County have come out to protest the results after all 30 candidates of the school got D's and E's in mathematics. According to the principal of the school, Paul Okombo, the results are invalid.
We've seen a big number failing to score more than a D plus in English, and we've seen a big number scoring E's in mathematics. We still think that some of the results which were released, maybe there will be some correction which will be made. All parents, they are expecting that their children get reasonable results. But now when they don't get reasonable results, I say I'm on the spot. You know what they are thinking about me.
On their part, the candidates of the school now want NEC to address the candidates' complaint and rectify their alleged errors.
Results zilitolewa, lakini sikufurahi vile niliona alama zenye nilipata. Kama mathematics niliandikiwa E, lakini nilikuwa na expect kitu yenye ingenifurahisha. All grades niliandikiwa D, but that was not my grade. Ndugu yangu pia alifanya physics, but result iliporudi marks za physics hazikuwa. Then maths pia aliandikiwa E, mi pia E. So I don't think if our minds are the same.
Turkana County Education CEC Lea Audan has launched a food distribution exercise for ECDE students. Now she says that this is aimed at increasing the number of children joining kindergartens. She adds that more than 1,000 schools are expected to benefit from the project.
Tumeflag off chakula ya hii mwaka ya watoto wetu wa ECD. Kila mwaka huwa tunakuwa na milioni 100 ambayo inatumika katika kununulia watoto wetu wa ECD chakula. Tumetumia lori zetu kuhakikisha ya kwamba chakula imepelekwa the larger south, yani Turkana East na Turkana South, na pia tuko na chakula ama bagi 8,333 ambayo itaenda kwa ECDs zote ambazo ni zaidi ya 1,026 katika Turkana County.
She has equally urged parents to send their children to school as expected by the law.
Mtoto wako akifika miaka 3 na kuendelea, tafadhali peleka huyo mtoto shule. Usiangalie ati labda useme huyu mtoto wangu labda ni mlemavu, ukatae umfiche sababu ya aibu. Watoto wote ni watoto, hakuna ule mtoto ambaye ni mtoto sana kuliko mwingine. Tafadhali Waturkana, pelekeni watoto shuleni. Hii ndio akiba yetu ya baadaye ambayo ndo watakuja kukua viongozi, watakuja kutushika na kutuletea maendeleo kwa sababu tumewapeleka shule.
A diplomatic row is brewing between Kenya and the Kingdom of Spain over pending bills amounting to over 1.2 billion shillings. Kenya risks paying huge penalties in interest for 10-year delay in payment of the bill to a Spanish company that constructed a multi-purpose dam at the Lower Ewasungiro. The Embassy of Spain has written to different government entities to have the money paid with no success. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, so a few minutes after 8 o'clock, and traffic is still doing the thing in the city this morning on the Thika Superhighway coming into the CBD via Ngara, and then also going the other way, Wangari Maathai Way. That still continues to be busy. Waiyaki Way slipping into the city very slowly, not at a standstill per se, but there's traffic there. Jogo Road also busy. We're getting on to Haile Selassie, and the traffic that started there very early in the morning is still continuing. We'll probably see most of that through the week as folks still trying to get around and into next week as Form 1s get to school. So let's expect CBD traffic for a couple more days to be quite heavy, right? Outer Ring, some traffic as you get on to Cabanas through North Airport Road. A little bit of that moving in towards Outer Ring. Eyes on things, let us know. Spice FM, KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, it's coming up to 8 minutes after 8. We're on to the third hour of The Situation Room. Hello, welcome to the new year 2024. We're already 10 days in. If you've just woken up, my friend, you've lost 9 of those days. Please catch up on this 10th one. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation, live on Spice FM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Now that we were talking about technology in the previous hour, let's talk to the person who's in charge of making sure that we have access to that technology. And this is the Cabinet Secretary for ICT and the Digital Economy, the Honorable Eli Dowalo. Good morning.
Morning to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Mambo namna gani?
Safi.
Karibu sana.
Shukran.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's good of you to be back on the hot seat in the new year.
Good.
Yeah. We start off with the issue about school fees, and Ndu has something to tell you.
Yes.
Because I know you work very, very well and hard in the community. Here's one of those things that you can also do in the community. Ndu.
So everybody's scrambling for school fees right about now, isn't it, Waziri?
Yes.
And folks are saying, okay, this list of 16 pages of things that I'm supposed to buy, and we didn't really, budget for this thing properly. But there's a way. There's a way.
Yeah.
And Kiwi has come up with this way. You know Kiwi?
Yes.
We used it for years.
Yes.
And it's always been step up and shine with Kiwi, really, as you come to school.
Yeah, Kiwi is a brand.
It is.
Yes.
Now they're saying, we've understood this pain, so let's do it this way. Still go and buy Kiwi. But now, the difference is that we say buy Kiwi, and then the code that's under the lid of this tin, or the smaller one, whichever one you select.
Yeah.
You're going to input that code when you dial *459 *5#, and then instantly there's data or airtime that you get. There's also a draw that you enter into.
Yeah.
And every week they're giving folks the opportunity to win 35,000 shillings. 4 people, 35,000 shillings. And this money goes directly to school so that school fees is taken care of. So all they're saying is buy the kiwi, go to school.
Well, I wish everybody in that attempt the best of luck. I don't believe in luck. I believe in hard work. Yeah, I've never believed in hard.
So you do the hard work of buying the kiwi.
Yes.
Leave the luck part to us.
Yes.
Okay, and the beneficiary children.
Yes.
Just buy the kiwi.
Buy the kiwi.
Yeah. Choose the children that you'd like to benefit. Them they'll rely on. You do the hard work of buying kiwi.
Oh yes,
That's good enough.
I will.
Waziri, to welcome you to the conversation, City has the day's proverb. City, this week's proverbs are from the Republic of Kenya.
Yes, they are.
And they are in Kiswahili. What we want you to do is listen to the proverb. First of all, give us the English translation of that proverb, and then give us your interpretation of it.
Okay.
City, go.
Yes, chura hana manyoya.
Chura hana?
Manyoya.
Bas.
I'm not the best in that space.
But at least you know what chura is.
I'm not the best in that space.
We're not letting you go, Waziri. Yes, endelea tu. Chura unajua.
Yeah.
Yes, anyone who went to school in Kenya knows Kiswahili.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not the best in that interpretation.
Nonetheless, do what you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
How would you say it in English? Chura hana manyoya.
Chura has no beard.
Good.
Yeah.
See, it's a good attempt.
Yeah.
Yes, and that one is new. We've not heard of that one.
Chura hana ndevu.
Yes.
What do you think the proverb means?
That's a hard nut to crack. That's a hard nut to crack.
City's idea.
You know, I am going to.
Yeah.
I can see the wheels moving and saying chura hana. Surely, of course, chura hana. So what are we saying? What is this? Well, they're saying, you could interpret it as saying a frog doesn't have feathers, a frog doesn't have fur, because unasema kuku ndio akona manyoya.
Yes.
Yes. Now, there are certain things which are patently obvious.
Yes.
There are some which are not.
Yeah.
Now, when a proverb refers to something which is obvious, what do you think they're leading you towards?
The normal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're being told. It's like you've heard of the saying. It's an English saying. Do pigs fly? You see, now pigs don't fly. So when someone asks that question, they're telling you, look, surely, can you not see that this is clear and obvious? Same. Chura hana manyoya.
It's an obviosity.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Huh?
It is. It is. Yes.
Completely obvious.
Yes.
It's been a long 1 year.
Yes.
Plus a couple of months for you in office.
Yes.
In the Ministry of ICT and the Digital Economy.
Yes.
We have talked to you several times here.
Yes.
On the work that your ministry is doing.
Yes.
Even since then, you've sent your PSs here. We've talked about the work that the ministry is doing.
Yes.
And digital economy is one of those, is the enabler to the plan.
Everything else
of the Kenya government.
Yes.
When you talk about universal health coverage,
yes,
you need to have the digital superhighway.
Yes.
When you talk about affordable housing, it comes in. When you talk about agriculture and employment and food security, it also comes in there.
Absolutely.
But has it come in there, Waziri?
Well, we are on the right trajectory. 1 year down the line, we have made fundamental progress. Within that digital superhighway, we anticipated that we would roll out 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable over the next 5 years, establish and operationalize a total of 25,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots, set up 1,450 digital hubs, and then also digitize government records and digitalize government services.
Yes.
So far, as we speak, we have managed to roll out 8,462 kilometers of fiber within the first 1 year. Now, this is against a target of about 20,000 kilometers per year. Now, the delay in procurement of the service providers, because you know that we have got protracted procurement procedures. Yeah. Led to a situation where we only onboarded these people to mid last year. Okay, but so far we have not only onboarded a total of 16 contractors to roll out the fiber, but we have also reached out to other public sector entities in the business of fiber, namely Kenya Pipeline, Ketraco, Kenya Power, just to mention but a few. Kenya Railways is another one, and we have agreed on how we are going to roll out the 52,000 kilometers of fiber as government and 48,000 kilometers of fiber as private sector, with clear roles and responsibilities, timelines, and performance indicators. So I would say without fear of contradiction that we are on the right trajectory, because one other challenge we faced at the beginning in this regard was funding. As we speak, we have managed to get some funding from the World Bank. We have also managed to get some funding from the Universal Service Fund that is going to facilitate the rollout of the fiber in earnest. Now, when it comes to the free Wi-Fi hotspots, as we speak, we have managed to roll out 1,261 free Wi-Fi hotspots. Again, deliberately and consciously, we have reached out to private sector independent internet service providers to partner with us to facilitate fast tracking of the rollout of the 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. What we want to do is to offload excess capacity within our North B infrastructure to the internet service providers. And then we get into a working relationship so that they, within their areas of jurisdiction, roll out the fiber and also facilitate the maintenance of the roll out the internet connectivity and also facilitate maintenance of the internet with clear service level agreement, so that whenever there is any downtime, God forbid, then that has to be addressed almost instantly in all the free Wi-Fi hotspots that we are rolling out all over the country. So again, we are in the right trajectory. When it comes to the digitalization of government services, when we came into office, we only had a meager 350 services about the eCitizen platform. As we speak today, we have managed to onboard 12,642 government services. So we have more than doubled the target that we had advised to roll out. So that one is almost a done deal. When it comes to the 1,450 digital hubs, we have so far rolled out 274 digital hubs. For a start, we started with the partnership with the TVET institutions. But moving forward, we now want to go mashinani. We are going to roll out a digital hub in each and every ward in this country. The ward is the lowest administrative unit within our administrative setup. We have managed to get into a partnership with the legislature, courtesy of the national government CDF funds, to the extent that they have facilitated a review of the CDF Act that would enable the members of parliament in each constituency use a threshold of 3% of annual allocation of CDF to facilitate construction of premises and also payment of utilities such as electricity. So, in a nutshell, moving forward, the members of parliament in each and every ward in each constituency all over the country will give us a facility where we can deploy the devices. As national government, we will go ahead and deploy devices. We will facilitate training for the youth for free. And also, deliberately and conscious as government, we are going to link up those students or those trainees with global technological companies for purposes of digital jobs. Just within the 274 digital hubs that we have rolled out so far, we have managed to train a total of 390,000 youth and created a total of 119,000 digital jobs. It is unbelievable for this country that a boy who left Form 4 last year, today, having gone through this training, can be onboarded on a digital job earning up to an equivalent of even 200,000 Kenya shillings per month.
Waziri, can I ask you, this is because obviously one of the big issues, one of the big ticket items for Kenya today is unemployment, the unemployment issue.
Yes.
So now here we are looking at a situation, according to you, whereby almost 400,000 young people trained.
Yes.
What skills are they being trained in, and what mechanisms then are you using to match them for these jobs that were previously unavailable?
Skills which are available within the creative economy. That's what we are targeting. You see, the biggest problem we have in this country is churning out millions, if not thousands, if not millions, of youth in various disciplines which do not meet the demands of the job market. So in this area, there are a lot of opportunities. Things like gaming, things like animation. There are a lot of opportunities in the digital space which require a digital job. And Kenya has got enormous potential based on our skills, competencies, and capabilities resident within our youth. We have got enormous potential in the digital space for purposes of these digital jobs. Just for purposes of illustration, in each and every digital hub that we are going to roll out in the country, we are capable of training 300 youth and creating a corresponding number of jobs.
In
300
Kenya.
jobs. In Kenya here. On average, each constituency has got 5 wards. So in each and every constituency, we are capable of creating 1,500 digital jobs. If you talk to the members of parliament, and I'm aware you interview them here every other day, they will tell you that one of the greatest pressures they face is the issue of getting jobs for their youth. We want to change the paradigm. We are not going to have rural-urban migration by the youth in search of jobs. We want to create the jobs right there in the villages. And it is an unbelievable, mind-boggling actually, that you will find a situation where we will be having youth right there in the villages, not traveling to America to work in America, but working for American companies, German companies, companies in Singapore, India, right there in the village, and earning in dollars. Yeah.
I was hoping that I would be hearing from you, Waziri.
Yeah.
Is you coming here with case studies and examples of the youth that have not moved from their rural homes to urban areas, but are already working because of the efforts that you've done, because of the 8,000 kilometers of fiber optic, because of one of the 1,261 free Wi-Fi hotspots, because of the 274 digital hubs. We have this.
These statistics are available.
So that it's not tutafanya,
No. We are not talking. I'm telling you what we have done. The jobs, I've told you the jobs we have created. I've told you the youth we have trained. And we have launched all these digital hubs over the past 1 year.
Are you saying, Waziri, when it comes to those jobs, that today you can say that there is some permanent or regular employment of X number of youth?
119,000, not X.
119,000 youth who are
in the digital space,
employed in the digital space,
and that information
as a direct result of this
digitalization. Yes, and those statistics I can provide on request, including the exact locations. Yeah.
Do you have one like you can give us? I'm sure you have.
Where we launched where His Excellency the President launched the first digital hub at Kabete Training Institute. We have got youth there who are earning an equivalent of 200,000.
What are they doing?
What jobs are they doing?
They are involved in animations, in games, basically jobs within the creative economy. We have launched similar.
Is it regular? Is it a one-off?
No, you see, it depends on how hard you work. The amazing thing with this concept we have invented is that the youth start, as they get trained, they start earning when they are still being trained. Okay? So it moves you from a learner to an instant earner. So these are case examples. And it's something that even you people, the media, can go out and verify objectively and independently. Go to Kabete, TVET, you will get the youth working there. Go to the Dan Kimathi University, you will get the youth working there. We have done the same in Makueni, we have done the same in Kitui, we have done the same in Mombasa, we have done the same.
The institutions you're mentioning, Waziri, were there even before? They didn't But
they didn't have the digital hubs. They didn't have the digital hubs. I told you for a start on the pilot stage, we partnered with the Ministry of Education through the TVET to set up the hubs. But now moving forward, this year, beginning this year, we are focusing on the village digital hubs within the wards. Based on this partnership, this law, the amendment to the CDF Act, was passed just late last year, around November. And the President assented to that bill in December. So we are now moving out to operationalize within the digital hubs. But I've given you case examples of what has been done so far, courtesy of that partnership between our ministry and the Ministry of Education through the TVETs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go a bit back, because this, for me, is a big deal.
Yes.
When we're talking about this digital skills training that has been made available for almost 400,000 young people, I want to stick on that for a while. Because if we had a young person who had nothing, and then get skills training by the government of Kenya, and then is now earning upwards of 150,000 shillings, 200,000 shillings. Well, see, that's a big deal.
And we are documenting this.
And
we are developing a documentary to show this, what we have done all over. It's now work in progress. What we have done all over the country.
Real, actual, blood-thumping Kenyans.
Actual jobs, Kenyan youth.
And these individuals are earning this amount of money around the country.
Yes.
And it is essentially making a change in their lives economically as individuals,
and even the local
touching
community,
on the local communities. And yet we have not heard this but from you.
But that's why I'm here to tell you what we have done. That's why I'm here. I'm telling you what we have done. And I'm telling you to augment this. My coming here, we are in the process of developing a documentary which will reach out to you people, the media, to help us air so that Kenyans can see this amazing innovation that we have created. It is a major, to me, it's a game changer.
It is.
It is a paradigm shift. And I'm telling you, moving forward, you will not see the youth moving from the rural areas to the urban centers in search of jobs, because we'll be creating the jobs right there in the village. We are documenting this through a documentary. Life examples.
Not every youth is ICT savvy, and not every youth wants to be to work in that particular field. However, even those who don't want to work, the training that you're talking about, what is it exactly, and how is it that you're getting people to actually get trained? Because if people who had no interest in ICT see the opportunity, understand the opportunity, and get trained, then what you're saying would make absolute sense. So how is this training being made available? What are the numbers of people who have been trained, and what is it that they're actually being trained in specifically?
You know, there are digital jobs in this digital space which require experts in animation, in gaming, So it's a customized training geared towards meeting the demands of the digital job market. And we have got service providers who are partnering with us, to facilitate this training. It is a customized training which is aligned to the demands of the job market. So it is not just the traditional training that you are training people and after that they go out to look for the jobs. No, you train somebody based on a need. Training to me is only feasible based on an objective training needs assessment. In this instance, we have undertaken beforehand an objective training needs assessment in the digital space to get to know what the digital space demands by way of jobs. And that is what the youth are being trained in.
What are the numbers? The people
we have trained 390,000. And correspondingly, we have created 119,000 jobs so far.
Who's conducting the training?
We have different service providers, private sector players who are partnering with the ministry through.
So what is this partnership? Are they contracted by the ministry to offer this training? Are they licensed by the ministry to offer the training? And then they charge a fee?
They are partnering with the Konza. Konza is our agency which is rolling out the digital hubs.
So, for example,
they are contracted by Konza.
If now that we have the law amended for CDF, if MPs get this money, and this year we start seeing those digital hubs at ward level, who is going to go to Kimana Ward in Loitoktok, Kajiado South to offer this training to the youth?
We have, for a start, through this pilot phase, we have got private sector players. But now we are moving forward. In fact, this week, the Treasury has also released money to the State Department of TVET to roll out the same training. So we are going to have a training of trainers initiative facilitated by the Ministry of Education through the State Department of TVET, so that we have got a critical mass of trainers in this space.
So once the trainers come to the ward level, and the youth then get the training, is there somebody who's helping them to get access to these jobs? Is it formalized, or are they then left to you?
No.
Now have technology, you have the skill, now you get yourself a job.
You know, this is an initiative which is spearheaded. This digital job identification is an initiative that is spearheaded by His Excellency the President himself. That is actually been part and parcel of his agenda in most of the places he's been going to. He's gone to Japanni, he's gone to Belgium, and he's visited the USA, and he has deliberately and consciously, as part of his itinerary, been meeting these global technological companies. Just the other day again, he was in India. One of the cogs in these discussions has been identification of digital jobs. How do we get these global technological companies to provide jobs for our youth?
So how is that happening? I want to see how these 119,000 youth got the jobs that's paying them over 100,000 shillings.
You know, it is done on your computer.
Is there a portal that
there's a portal on your computer, on the computer there?
Okay.
So you go there and click. Yeah, based on the skills and your areas of interest, you'll click their jobs. Yeah, and then you get the options for the jobs. What you want to do. Then you click where your interest is. You will get the what opportunities of jobs are there, and then you go ahead and work. It is electronic.
Who's managing the portal?
The portal is being managed through Konza.
So who's uploading the job opportunities on this portal? Konza,
yes.
How are they getting these job opportunities?
Based on the linkages and discussions and stakeholder alliances and partnerships that has been spearheaded over the years with global technological companies.
Like which one?
Google.
So there are some Google jobs on this portal.
Yes.
That the Konza people are uploading here.
Yes, Amazon.
So this youth goes onto this particular portal.
Yes.
They say jobs.
Yeah. And they click jobs and they get the options which are available.
And then they can choose whether it's Amazon.
They can choose. I wish it was loaded here. We'll do it.
What's the portal? We're going to actually do it.
Right now,
if it was available here, then we will.
What's the portal?
We will get there.
Let's take a break, and then when you come back, we can actually look at it practically.
Yeah.
So let's take a break. The Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy, the Honorable Eliud Owalo, is our guest today. We're talking about the work that the ministry has been doing. The ministry has done some work over the last year. Serious targets on making sure that they roll out the digital superhighway, 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic. They've done 8,000 kilometers so far, he says. They've done 1,261 free Wi-Fi hotspots across the country, 1,450 digital hubs, 119,000 youth have gotten jobs on this. So we want to see how this is done, so that those who are watching and know, this is how I'm going to get my next big job, 200,000 shillings. I want to do it as well. I'm a youth. 29 minutes to 9. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
My phone so that.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers.
The weather with Spice FM.
cloudy conditions in Nairobi, 18 degrees, highs of 24 and lows of 15. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 17 in a mostly sunny Nakuru. It's sunny at 16 in Nyeri, highs of 25. And Eldoret is partly sunny at 16 with highs of 23 and lows of 13. Into Mombasa at 27 is cloudy, highs of 32. And Malindi at 29 is cloudy with highs of 32 as well. Kisumu is cloudy at 21 with highs of 26, while Kakamega is cloudy at 20, it'll go to highs of 26 and lows of 17. Kampala, light rain now after those clouds with highs of 28 and lows of 20, while mostly cloudy conditions. Rain in Dar es Salaam at 26, going to highs of 31. 18 degrees and partly sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 25, and Mogadishu at 28 is sunny. We'll see highs of 33, sunny conditions at 17 now in Addis Ababa, going to highs of 23 and lows of 9. Partly cloudy at 26 in Lagos with highs of 30, and Kinshasa will see highs of 31 and lows of 22.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Na hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, so traffic hour is what we are in the middle of right now. It's still heavy coming into the city, and that's touching a little bit on Kamkunji at the roundabout. Landis Road, extremely heavy. Jogo Road continues as you get towards City Stadium roundabout. I think we should be okay going and towards Lusaka Road. Lusaka, then going towards Likoni, that looks all right. Interchange is going to touch a little bit on the southern bypass, but we should be fine thereafter. The Thika Superhighway, heavy with traffic from Survey out through towards Pangani, and Kiambu Road not doing too badly now. Where there is a mess is coming in from United Nations Avenue, heavy on Muthaiga. Because of that construction that continues, and so traffic's going to slow down as you get into the city. On Waiaki Way, there's a little bit of traffic here and there. James Gishoro looks a bit crazy right now, actually, over the drift. Well in from Zima Springs, from way back Naivasha Road, touching on Gong Road. And all of this business coming in from Kileleshwa and Riverside. So that's an absolute mess. If you can avoid it, please do, because this traffic spills over towards Red Hill Link Road and then out towards coming in from Peponi from the backside. So keeping an eye on all of this. Don't go there if you don't need to. Use an alternate route. It'll save you time this morning. Where might you be stuck today? Let us know. We'll talk. SpiceFM, KE on X.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.
Continues with the Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo. We're talking about the work that the ministry has been doing and the targets for the coming year. So, Ndu, you have the portal Waziri was telling us about. It's a Jitume portal.
Waziri. Yes, the Jitume portal. That's what she's trying to access.
Jitume.konza.go.ke. Well, yes. If you're listening, you can go on as well to jitume.konza.go.ke. It requires you to register and then you'll be signing in.
Yeah.
And once you sign in, then you have access to all these services.
The jobs, and then you choose the options which are available.
Choose the option. And so for you to register, you need to have been trained. Must you have been trained in this particular training program, or can anybody register?
You should have gone through, or ideally you should have gone through the training so that you have got the requisite skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe that to access the register, there has to be some authorization to access the link based on the requisite training.
It's those that have been trained, that then they know for sure that they have the skill. Then they'll access.
Skills,
You've been able to register quite a bit.
Right, so I've registered an account, which I was able to do that already.
Okay.
And so you get onto a dashboard. And this dashboard, from what we see now, talks about different trainings that you can then now access. Data engineering basics for everybody. It's kind of like, I guess, engineering for dummies. Big data and Hadoop essentials. Machine learning with Python. So it looks as though you must go here first and do this training.
Okay.
Then there's a place, of course, where you can access your profile. Job platforms, I guess, is the one that everybody's interested in. And let's look at the platforms list. And so, indeed, it looks like some that folks would be used to, things like Upwork and Freelancer, Transcribe, Go Transcript, etc., etc. Data science, analytics, the Amazon that you talked about. So how about we click on that and see?
Yeah, let's click on Amazon.
Let's click on Amazon Mechanical. Right? So this would be a job that you would essentially be able to do, or one of the ones that Waziri tells us. Well, now we can't touch that because, an error has occurred. So let's go back and see what else is...
engineering and architecture, local work in Kenya, micro workers.
Let's go to that local work in Kenya.
You want to? Well, okay.
We see what's there.
So we go back here. Local work in Kenya.
Local work in Kenya.
Where were you?
Kuhasol.
On the left there.
Kuhasol here.
Yeah.
Kuhasol. Okay.
Kuhasol. Okay. You see?
So here.
Yeah.
You can.
The jobs, you'll be able to access the jobs which have been posted.
You can post a job.
See there's over 1,000 jobs posted there. And you can see the range of the earnings from 32,000 to 920,000 worth of jobs, dollars worth of jobs.
So let's browse jobs of what are available at the moment. Web developers wanted. So freelancers, virtual assistants with experience in digital marketing needed. And these are all jobs that are available in Kenya. Right? So let's say I wanted to apply for this one, a virtual assistant with experience in digital marketing needed. So with the job budget of 20,000 to 50,000 shillings, and you could apply and send a quote. This looks like it's a bid.
Yep.
You bid for this work. If you have the best bid, then you say, look, I can do it for 30,000 shillings. If you get it, they give it to you.
If you meet the qualification. So basically, it's like an application.
Yes.
You apply for this particular job, and then they
at
choose
some
you.
point, I believe then the application would ask you about your skills and competencies to see whether or not you have the requisite skills to be able to do the job.
Okay.
So
what we're saying though is that we don't actually, Waziri, have individuals who are getting onto these sites, and you see work that you can do regularly every day that would equal in a month 200,000. It's a maybe situation. It's not a guarantee.
No, we have a range. It's not that it has to be 200,000. It can offshoot that. It can be under that. It depends on how hard you work and the time you create. You see, these are actually students, okay? Not that they are doing this full time. Like in the Tibets where we have already installed the devices. These boys and girls are doing this during their free time when they are not having the other lessons. So it depends on how much time also you create and how hard you work.
And you can take up more than one job.
Oh, yes. It depends on the amount of time you have at your disposal. And you can do it at any given point in time. So the other game changer with this digitalization agenda is that we can easily turn Kenya into a 24-hour economy. Because this is something you can do from wherever you are, at whatever time, as and when you have that time available at your disposal. Is what I'm saying making sense to you, Latiff?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
For me, it is making sense.
Because you can work from anywhere at any given point in time when you are free.
If all these other things are working.
So
if you have
our
access to
digitalization
internet and
agenda is a critical success factor towards turning Kenya not just into a digital economy, but also a 24-hour economy.
True. Siti, you were saying?
No, I'm saying it makes perfect sense. And if this thing is to benefit as many Kenyans as possible, yes, and then it does stand to reason that if some of the facilitation mechanisms and networks and infrastructure
is in place.
Yes, and it's in place right across the country.
Yes.
Then you are reaching out to the entire country, and you are reaching out to a very large number of young people who might otherwise have been limited if this thing was not available. Because in the absence of internet services, specifically the free one, then this thing becomes an impossibility for very many rural areas.
So a prerequisite is the digital infrastructure. You must have fiber, you must have internet connectivity. And that now justifies the rationale of our pursuit of the 100,000 kilometers of fiber, the pursuit of the 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots. Another end result of this would be, once these youth have done enough work and have earned enough money and they have got surplus, they are going to be transformed from job seekers to entrepreneurs. Because you have gotten the skills, you have earned enough money, then you go and set up your own hub there then in the village and employ other people. You become an entrepreneur within a very short span of time as opposed to a job seeker. Yeah.
Waziri, Kenyans are ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are determined to deliver this.
The infrastructure and the role of the infrastructure. If you've done 8,000 of the first 20,000 kilometer targets,
yes,
and you've been able to do 8,000.
Yeah.
You're saying the 8,000 was because of the challenges of one procurement and the long procurement
the
process.
funding, which we have now largely sorted out. There's a problem of funding. We have gotten some funding from the World Bank courtesy of the what is called the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Program.
Is it sufficient to do 20,000 kilometers per year?
Not sufficient, but it's good enough to enable us at least do the first phase. As we do this, we are also seeking additional funding. What we are not doing is to wait, because we are working against a background of austerity measures in government. We know that resources are limited. So we are not just going to sit there and wait until we get funding from the National Treasury. So we are being innovative and creative. In our view, strategic alliances and partnership is key. Input of the private sector is also key in this regard. We can't do everything as government. If everything we have planned to do can be done by the private sector and government only remains with the task of creating an enabling environment from a policy, legal and regulatory perspective, so be it. That's the approach we are taking.
One of the other sources of funding that you mentioned was the Universal Services Hub.
Yes.
Fund.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Universal Service Fund is a fund that is contributed by telecommunication companies at the point of getting licenses. They give out a proportion of there's some money that they are expected to pay to go towards facilitating universal access. Okay? So what is universal access? Or first of all, what is the rationale of universal access? The issue here is that from a private sector perspective, there could be certain parts of the country which are not profitable for the telecommunication companies to roll out infrastructure. The government then, while leveraging on the Universal Service Fund, comes in as an agent of necessity to do connectivity in those areas. If, for example, I'm just giving a hypothetical example, telecommunication companies have not rolled out fiber to Turkana. It would be in the interest of the government, because the people of Turkana are Kenyans, to facilitate connectivity in Turkana or Moyale or anywhere else, any other part of the country, for example. So it's meant a fund that is meant to assist close the gap, so that we are not just private sector, profit motivated. There has to be universal access and universal connectivity.
How much is in the fund and who manages the fund?
The fund is managed by the Communication Authority of Kenya with very strict guidelines from the National Treasury as the custodian of government resources and public resources.
How much is in it?
As of now, we have got about 18 billion shillings.
So how regularly does it get refurbished?
Every year there's contribution from the telecommunication service providers, by way of subscription, which goes into that fund. And it is not money which you'll just walk in and walk out with. It's not a supermarket approach. There are very strict guidelines that have to be deployed to access that funding. It has to be within the scope and mandate. Any request to get approval must be within the scope and the mandate of the Universal Service Fund. As we speak, about 1 month ago, I did appoint a Universal Service Fund Advisory Council consisting of people with technical expertise, who scrutinize their proposals. So you'll make once the requests are made, they are processed in the normal manner through the Communications Authority of Kenya. They go to the Advisory Council of the Universal Service Fund. From there is when it goes to the board. So there are very stringent regulations. It's not just a supermarket approach where you walk in and carry. Yeah.
I want to move a bit onto the other sectors.
Yes.
Or under your ministry.
Yeah.
And one of those, of course, is in the communication space.
Yeah.
Telecom Kenya.
Yes.
There's been this conversation about, Telecom Kenya, so it's now owned by the government, it's now privatization. If you look at the number of licensed mobile network operators in this country, we only have Airtel, Safaricom, and Telcom.
Yeah.
Safaricom.
There's also Jamii.
And Jamii Telecom, right?
Yeah.
Safaricom is so big.
Yeah.
It's the biggest company in Kenya and East Africa.
Yeah.
Telcom, which was the second licensed operator, how is it doing?
Well, it's doing how it's doing. It's trying its best in the market. You see, this is a market structure which is largely oligopolistic. Oligopolistic in the sense that we have got few players. And if there are few players, it is bound to have what you refer to in economics as cutthroat competition. Everybody tries to outmaneuver the other. So your survival largely depends on your level of creativity, innovation, strategic agility, and maneuverability. So the role of government really is to ensure that from a policy, legal, and regulatory framework, there's an enabling environment for everybody else to compete. Yeah? But the government will not go out of its way now to start supporting one entity against the other competitors.
Okay.
So it is cutthroat competition. So your level of creativity, how innovative are you? What products are you producing, churning out into the marketplace? That is how you outmaneuver others. What is your pricing level? What is your marketing strategy? Those are the integral ingredients that will inform your survival in that oligopolistic market structure.
What is it that has ailed Telecom Kenya in such a way that it has changed investors so much? We've had Telcom government, we've had Telcom Helios, we've had Telcom Orange Telcom. Now we have Telcom, we hear there is some other interested party that's coming in.
I really don't want to speak on behalf of Telecom because it's not a parastatal under our ministry. It's a private sector organization. So we don't go down and get involved in the corporate governance of those institutions.
But right now it's owned by the government.
No. Who has told you it's owned by government?
Who owns it?
Telecom is a private company.
Did the government not pay money to Helios to own this thing?
How far did that transaction go?
We hear it was paid. Is that not what we had?
The thing is, we hear very many things about Telecom, but
did you hear 6 billion shillings or thereabouts?
That figure was floated, and that figure we heard and read about at great length. Are we saying the government doesn't have an interest in Telecom?
No, we have got some shareholding, but it is minimal shareholding. A company only becomes a parastatal if the government has got majority shareholding. As we speak, the courtesy of the National Treasury, government has got some shareholding in Telecom. But it is minimal shareholding, which means it is less than 50%. The majority... Come again?
Who else has shareholding in Telecom Kenya today?
No, that is a question that we should direct to the National Treasury. They should be better place to answer that. You see, as a professional, I don't speak in areas where I don't have the facts because I don't tell lies.
You see,
my interest from a policy perspective is that Telecom, have we created an enabling environment for the telecommunications
for
sector
the MNOs to
from
survive.
A policy, legal, and regulatory perspective? But we don't really go down into issues of the shareholding. That is an operational issue.
Okay.
And if there are government interest in that entity, that is subject of interest to the National Treasury. If there are issues to do with competitiveness within the sector, that is an issue of concern and interest to the Competition Authority of Kenya.
Waziri,
yeah,
has the government created that enabling environment for Postal Corporation of Kenya to thrive?
That's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm on this seat.
Is it thriving?
I'm turning that entity around with the support of everybody else within that institution and the ministry.
What does it need? Postal Corporation of Kenya.
E-commerce. It is as simple as that. We must move away from the traditional courier business that Posta has been accustomed to. The only avenue that we have is for Posta to become an e-commerce and logistics hub. Posta has got the widest network of facilities in this country, for purposes of logistics. As we speak, we are on the verge of acquiring a partner by way of e-commerce platform. We are also on the verge of, at the tail end of acquiring a service provider for a payment gateway. So we want to move away from the traditional way of doing business, and there's already fundamental progress in this regard. As we speak, Posta is now already doing last mile delivery of passport. Posta is doing last mile delivery of medical supplies, leveraging on the enormous infrastructure that it has. Posta has just gotten into a partnership with the Radio Africa Group to also do last mile delivery of newspapers and MyGov, lying therein. So there's a lot of potential, but it requires divergence in thinking. Okay? There has to be some level of creativity. We are determined to turn Posta into a logistics hub, leveraging on e-commerce. And to facilitate this, there's also fundamental work in progress. We already have a national addressing system, policy and bill ready, which I'm progressing to cabinet. Subsequent to that, it will go to parliament for purposes of enactment into law, so that we have got the requisite infrastructure from a technological perspective, and also a strong foundation on that can facilitate e-commerce, last mile delivery through e-commerce. So that is work in progress. We are determined to turn around that institution, because Posta is a brand. And for whatever reason, if you talk to any Kenyan, every Kenyan appears to be sympathetic to the case of Posta. Everybody wants to see Posta thriving. For a start, a critical success factor would be also enhancing the staff motivation levels. When we came into office, we had got about 5 months salary arrears, which we have been struggling to offset. As at December, we managed to pay a whopping 435 million shillings to staff to clear all the salary arrears. And moving forward, I've given instructions to the management and governance of Posta that the first line item of expenditure every month should be staff salaries. I don't want to see a situation where we are lagging behind in settlement of payment of staff salaries.
Was there something that you mentioned is an instrument or a channel or a tool that a lot of other countries are using, and that's when you talk about Posta being the poster child for e-commerce. The Amazon that you mentioned, they use the US portal service, postal service, to send goods around the continental US and then around the world. And all of these systems work in tandem. But the basic infrastructure is in place in order for such a thing to happen. Now, when you speak these words, it's exciting to hear. But then the hope is that the groundwork will actually be done for such things to happen. Because if you talk about salvaging the Posta, that's one way in which it can happen. But for it to grow up from mere words to be an adult in action, the infrastructure worries me, because is it actually in place? Or is
that
it
is what
aspirational?
We are working on. You see, we have got some dilapidated infrastructure that we have to work on. So part of this process should entail upgrading the existing infrastructure. Now, let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit at all levels. We have got plans. We have always had these plans since time immemorial, but the implementation level is what?
Zero.
Almost zero. And you have to be deliberate in whatever you want to do. And that requires leadership, transformational leadership. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. Because there are also people who are benefiting from that status quo and would want the status quo to prevail. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes if you are to change some of these things. So it requires leadership at all levels. And that's what we are determined to do as Kenya Kwanza government, led from the top. And I really want, with all due respect and honesty and humility, thank His Excellency the President, because he has enabled us, in fact, created an enabling environment for us to make decisions which we feel are right. He has told us every now and again that if you feel you are doing the right thing, go ahead and do it irrespective of the consequences. And that is what we are doing in our domains. In my ministry, I'm introducing fundamental changes. Let me give you another example. We have got certain entities within the information, communication, and technology sector which are operating on certain laws that were formulated 30 years ago.
Like which one?
Outdated. KBC is one of them. Okay? Yet, the operational environment and circumstances have changed. So recently again, as part of this transformational process, I did constitute a sector working group to enable us look at, discern the changes, emerging issues in the operational environment, and come up with the recommendations that can enable us position all these organizations under our ministry strategically in the operational environment. And what I did, informed by the need of participatory approach, we involve all the requisite stakeholders in that industry. We are not doing it as government. The media sector is largely represented. That team, sector working group, has got a thematical area of media and information, and is headed by one of you, Tom Mushindi, a renowned journalist in this country. We have the president of the Editors Guild there. We have the chair of the Media Owners Association in there. So we have adapted a whole sector approach. How we are working as this ministry is not to face the challenges as a government, but to involve everybody in the sector so that we are part and parcel, everybody's part and parcel of this thought process, and we come up with solutions together.
We'll call you again, Waziri, when the team gives you a report, so we can then discuss the report and what needs to be done thereafter. But good for you to open the year with this particular interview and this particular conversation. You have an open invitation to come again to the Situation Room.
Anytime. But some closing remarks.
Yes.
We are determined to turn Kenya into an empowered and digital economy, which is the practice elsewhere. We will turn this country through digitalization
into an empowered
and digitalized economy, and by extension a 24-hour economy. And we are seeking the support of all stakeholders in this regard.
Asante.
Yeah.
Eli Duwalo, Cabinet Secretary, ICT and the Digital Economy. 9 a.m. News Time.
Limited says that modern charcoal has the ability to reduce smoke levels as well as the ability to burn longer than the conventional coal.
Kwa zaidi tunatengeza makaa kutokamana na vifuvu vya nazi. Advantages za kutumia makaa haya ni mwanzo hatukati miti yetu kutengezea makaa. Advantage ya pili ni kuwa makaa haya yanakaa kwa muda zaidi, yana moto mkali zaidi, mbali na hayo bei yake ni nafuu zaidi kuliko makaa ya kawaida.
At the same time, the organization is urging citizens to continue planting trees in order to reduce the impact of climate change.
Mazingira yetu ni muhimu sana, si kwa wanyama peke yake, lakini kwetu sisi pia. Ukiangalia siku hizi hali ya hewa vile iko, si kama kitambo ilivyokuwa. Kitambo tukipata mivua kwa time yake, siku hizi unapata mivua inachelewa. Yote haya yanatokamana na ukataji wa miti. Environment yetu ni muhimu sana na ni juu yetu kuiprotect tunavyoweza kuiprotect.
Still matters climate, and the year 2023 was the hottest on record, with the increase in Earth's surface temperature nearly crossing the critical threshold of 1.5 degrees. Climate change intensified heat waves, droughts and wildfires across the planet and pushed the global thermometer to 1.48 Celsius above the pre-industrial bench. Nearly half the year exceeded the 1.5 Celsius limit, beyond which climate impacts are more likely to become self-reinforcing and catastrophic, according to scientists. And about 44 students, mostly orphans and from disadvantaged families in Kwanza constituency, have been sponsored for studies from Form 1 to Form 4 by the Jomo Kenyatta University Foundation with the cooperation from the government. Area MP Ferdinand Wanyonyi has urged the students to work hard to achieve their dreams, while asking head teachers whose schools did not excel in KCSE exams to be transferred immediately.
Tumefanikiwa sana kama watu wa Kwanza, watoto 40 watapata scholarship hapa. In fact 98% are from families ambao haziwezi, ili watoto wetu wafanikiwe. Ya mwisho ni ya kwamba sijafurahia sana matokeo some of the schools. I'm now ordering ya kwamba shule ambao sijafanya vizuri kwa sababu labda leadership is poor or something else, we want some changes. There's no way you can have a school sending 4 students to university and there's all the facilities. Mimi nimefanya kazi, nimechenga madarasa kila pahali, napeana basari kwa shule zote. Then you wonder what's happening. Somebody is not doing his work.
The guardians of the students who received their scholarships have expressed their joy for the assistance but equally expressed their frustrations due to the tough economic times.
Kwa majina ni Faith Said. Changamoto imekuwa mingi. Sisi tuliachwa na mama na baba pia akatoka nyumbani, akapotea kule sehemu za Pokot. So tumekuwa tukiishi tu wenyewe na mimi nikawa nalinda sister zangu. Vile nilisikia scholarship na nimekuwa mmoja wao wa kufaidika, maana dada yangu anaenda shuleni. Nashukuru sana.
Nimekuwa nikilea sister yangu tangu akwe 3 months. Nilikuwa na stress kwa sababu baba ako na diabetes. Siwezi sema kuna mahali corruption ilitendeka, tumeipata kwa haki, na wacha Jomo Kenyatta mbarikiwe. Tunaombea watoto wenye mnaenda shule msome, mrudishe mkono kwa jamii.
Tension remains high in Baringo after 2 more people were Tuesday evening shot dead by armed bandits at Yatia area in Baringo North Sub-County. According to police, the armed assailants ambushed the middle-aged men near the center and opened gunfire indiscriminately, killing them on the spot. The incident sparked tension in the area, causing locals to flee amid reports that armed bandits are taking hostage the village. And the police in Bondo Sub-County are investigating the mysterious death of a 61-year-old man whose body was found in a guest house within Bondo town. The body of the man, who has been identified as Nicholas Ogada Ogol, was discovered by the guest house attendants. According to Siaya County Police Commander Cletic Mayo, the caretaker of the guest house, Evelyn Atieno, reported to police that an elderly man had been found dead in one of the rooms. He says that officers from Bondo Police Station visited the scene and established that the deceased had checked into the guest house alone at around 8 p.m. while appearing drunk. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Heavy on James Gishoro getting towards Waiyaki Way. It's reducing a little bit on the Red Hill Link Road, so not too much of that happening. So let's look, coming in from the western part of the city, Waiyaki Way has some traffic then getting into the CBD. All right, so let's look at Limuru Road, not doing too poorly. We're seeing red turning to yellow, so that means it's reducing. Into the CBD, still heavy. Are you coming off of the Thika Superhighway? Yikes! There's quite some traffic there today. Kiambu Road not doing too badly. And into the city from Haile Selassie, coming in from the Kamkunji roundabout and Jogo Road, that is also going to be there for some time. Eye on things, that's what we do. Let's talk on Spice FM, KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 9. How are you doing? Oh, in the last hour, I forgot to tell you about Maramoja Taxi app, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that it has an SOS button. Tell us about the SOS button.
So if you're in trouble,
if you're in SOS,
if you need a situation where it's save our souls kind of thing, you can actually press the SOS button, and you don't necessarily have to be in a cab at that point. You don't have to be on a ride. Because you've downloaded the app, you have access to the emergency services that you might need for whatever. Somebody needs an ambulance, somebody needs police, press the SOS button, help comes your way, we move along, voila, c'est ça.
Even like that.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a very, very, very good button.
VAS for Maramoja.
Sindio?
Yeah.
Wherever you are, if you require services. So Maramoja have teamed up with service provider in this particular emergency services. And so if you press the button, they'll call you back immediately and ask you, what's the issue? What's up? If it is a medical evacuation that you need, they organize for you medical evacuation. If it is towing services that you need, they organize for you towing services. If it is security related, they organize for you security services. Sindio? Yes. It's all. What are you going to say? Send watchmen.
I swear that's what I was going to say.
Waja kuwatch.
Unajua huyu soja hajaripoti leo. Mnaweza tuma wenu. No, it's not okay. Don't misuse. That's not an SOS.
Tuma watchman.
Tuma watchman. Hapana bwana. No. Huyu soja wangu alikuwa kuja jioni ndio na haja kuja. Unaweza kuja na mtu akona umbwa.
Goat. Hata kama inafanana na umbwa sawa.
Kitu tu kama umbwa. Bora iko na nyororo. Download the Maramoja taxi app today, please, and take advantage of all these services. You can tap pair and go with a cab driver. You can load onto your wallet and get a 50% bonus immediately. If you use a SPICE30 as your code, you get a 30% discount on your next ride immediately, just like that. Go to your app store, look for Maramoja Transport Services Limited, and then you go to the blue one. Download that one and register. Start living your life easier. It's 2024. Mambo ya shida ya last year tumewacha last year. Mambo ya shida ya school fees ya last year pia tuwache last year. Hii mwaka mpya na school fees yake na tunaweza lipa na Kiwi.
Eco solution. Kiwi, go to the supermarket, go to the duka, go to the shop. Bora wanauza
Kiwi.
With this new
tin.
Say logo.
Logo.
Thank you. Now, what you do when you pick up a tin of the new logo Kiwi, because you will find the one that doesn't have it. We want you to get this one with the new logo. Buy it. Then you'll pick your phone, dial *459*5#. When you pop the lid under, there is another code. When it's going to ask you for the directions, you're going to input that particular code. You'll get airtime or data. Straight. Thank you for kind of thing. Then you'll enter into a draw. The thing works. People have been getting school fees paid to go to school this January. You can do it too. 4 people every week winning 35,000 shillings. Doesn't have to be you. You can win and do it for somebody else. So get a tin, get data, get into the draw, win school fees. Kaende. Step up and shine.
Hivo.
Just keep going like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kamati chini. City.
Yes.
Remind us the day's proverb.
Yes, that I will do so with great happiness. Chura hana manyoya.
Okay, can we manyoya is hair, fur, feathers, beard.
Yes.
What are we?
Feathers are hair on a bird, an avian creature.
Feathers are fur on a bird.
Yeah, fur is hair on a human being.
That's like saying
human beings don't have
fur.
fur.
On a dog is like feathers on a bird. Actually, it's true.
It's true. Yes, but fur on a dog is hair on a human being.
Voila.
We don't have fur. We don't have feathers.
Kondo akona manyoya.
Yes.
Kuku akona manyo.
Yeah, and remember when
Chura hana.
Manyoya. And when you ask these questions about proverbs and interpretation, the variety of answers are thrilling. Here, the CS told us is a beard.
Out of respect, I
you
did
just
not
keep
laugh.
dealing with that thing.
Don't expect something.
Nimeenda kwa kinyozi kunyoa manyoya.
Don't expect. It's like this. I always want to relate it to. Don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So you want to go to a frog and you want to say, "Well, I'm going to treat you like I treat this chicken," but you don't have feathers, so I can't do that.
You do know there are fish that can climb trees.
There are also birds that can. There are also fish that can fly.
Yes.
Did you know?
Yeah, I
Anyway,
do.
I digress.
No. You
However-
don't digress. You add to the conversation.
Next, you're going to go to their frogs that have feathers.
Not by way of this proverb, no. But you can't judge something by its natural inability or its natural ability.
No. That's I like the inability contest.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
Natural-
well said.
I can't. Yeah.
Yes.
You how do you judge me for something that I'm not that way naturally inclined?
It's
So
like you can't say I don't have hair on my forehead. You know?
whereas the others two are naturally inclined. So.
Right.
Sorry.
Nyinyi watu ni wajinga.
Right.
Tuongee mambo ambayo si
ya maana ambayo inaweza saidia nchi kama ICT pote kila mahali.
Wow.
Na skuli.
Yes, na vitu vya maana.
Education.
Yes,
Listen, yesterday we touched on this and said the Ministry of Education and the Kenya National Examinations Council have for many years now steered far away from ranking schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because kitambo it used to be, they announce the results, they say the top student in the country, and they say the top school, especially for KCSE. They say the top students, and then they also say the top schools based on the mean score. They've run away from that. And the thinking then was, you know, when you do that, then you're applying pressure on those schools and you're diminishing the other schools. It's like sort of you're saying that these are the best performing schools and then the other schools are just useless. And they want to make sure that everybody feels that all schools are treated the same. So let's not do this ranking thing, you know, let's not, okay? Let's treat everyone equal, okay? However, the society has refused to move away from that. If you look at the headlines yesterday and the headlines today, it's about schools. The headline in the Standard, top students in last year's KCSE revealed the secrets to their success and also their aspirations as they prepare to join institutions of higher learning locally and abroad to pursue dreams, careers with medicine and engineering topping their preferences. Okay? Talking about the top students. But then they show us top schools and they list them. Standard starts with top schools on the front page and continues that on page 2 and page 3. Top schools, top schools, top schools. Then they go into page 4 and page 5. They tell us the students and the school that they were in. And just by looking, you can see the schools that are featuring here, sana, then those ones become like the top schools. Nation did the same. Top schools nationally. And their headline is Small Schools That Fell Giants. Topping the charts in national exams has often been a preserve of an elite club of big schools with a long history of excellent performance, but not anymore. A new crop of little-known institutions is out to shake up the old order and stake their claim to space at the top. Kabarak High School, Mudasa Academy Vihiga, Kapsabet Boys, Light Academy Mombasa, Strathmore Kenya High, Chemelil Sugar, Alliance Girls, Kisima Mixed Secondary, Kiage Tumaini Boys High School. Imagine there's a secondary school among these ones. You know, when you see secondary and you know high school, there's a big difference. Loreto High School, St. Teresa Mboni Girls High School, Starehe Boys Center, Moi Girls High School, Eldoret, Sheikh Khalifa Secondary. So the trend here again today is to show us the top performing students and to also attempt to rank schools. This is what the public seems to be demanding or what the media seems to be pushing. Which is which?
Look, I think that all those things are happening simultaneously. But then again, we look at the way in which this has all been created. And unfortunately, a system of competition whereby you want to always have something at the top and something and then it being graduated is entrenched in the way the system is. And it's not just Kenya, by the way. That's why, for example, you will always hear in a country top 10 universities, top 10 schools for this, top 10 schools for that. It's just the way it is. However, people have traditional thought. That's why you hear the rumors or rather the chatter around how on earth are you going to allow people go to Form 1 having not sat the KCPE? Because I must test you. I must test you on a paper in different subjects to know whether you then are able to meet the mark to then go on to the next. Meanwhile, on this side, we've said, doesn't matter. Come into the exam, write your name, get out, doesn't matter. There will be 100% transition. But there's still that thing. Remember when CBC came? And I'm building towards this. Yeah. Remember when CBC came in and what did some parents do? Some parents removed their children from the school where they were in and went and enrolled them in schools whereby they were said to do well during exams. Why? So that they could have that 844 exam result. Because it's something. It stood for something. How could we have gone to the system and we didn't do the KCPE? We will not see the KCSE. So right now there's a lot of nervousness. But guess what? The system already that's going to come in and take over has already been created to replicate this very same thing that we're talking about. This last KCPE, which now goes into Form 1 next week, are also the last KCSE class as we graduate. And parents are already asking, so, wait, those ones who sat grade 6 now, they're where? They're in high school. Yes, they are. So then we will not have another Standard 8? No, we won't. So how will we know that you're in high school? We will just continue.
You're in high school.
You're in high school. You finish grade 6, you're in high school. But it's just that it's junior school and then there's senior school. So you will do 7, 8, 9
in junior,
and then you will do 10, 11, 12 in senior. So the system now is 2, 6, 3, 3. That is what we are looking at. But parents still want, no, how can it just be fluid? So what did the Working Party do? Working Party now said, okay, fine. You know what is going to happen? We're not going to have that Form 1, 2, 3, 4 anymore. We're going to have grade junior and senior. And then we're going to go into pathways. Okay? So there will be schools that are STEM schools. There will be schools. So we're going to decategorize schools. We will not have this national county, ex-county, sub-county, etc. We will have subject schools. The way now you hear there are schools like MIT, which are in the sciences, where you have Berkeley, that you know they are music and art schools. That is the kind of thing that we're going to have. But you've already started creating room for competition, because you will start to say, wait a minute, of the schools in the country, which is the best STEM
Science
school?
You
see? I want my child to go to the best STEM school. If it is an art school, which is the one that is the best art school? Now, I don't think that the competition is necessarily a bad thing. But are we edging out folks who would naturally then get an opportunity to perform at any level because there's this scramble for the few spaces that are left? So we will still run into a problem if it is still deemed so. Is it deemed as a problem? This top school thing, small schools, no-name schools edging out the giants.
The society has categorized schools.
Clean. That there'll even be a question if a particular school is not named when KCSE comes out. How can it be that this school is not there? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So are we actually ready to go into this place where we say, you know what? Decategorization means it doesn't matter whether you're in school in Mazeras,
whether your school is called Mixed Secondary School,
Kisima Mixed Secondary School,
or whether your school is called
girls.
Or Center, Starehe Boys Center, or Academy, M-Pesa Academy.
Even when the Working Party makes those considerations, is society ready to actually say, you know what, fine, let the playing field actually be level. It doesn't matter. I say no. Society is not ready. Society wants to know that there's the best, and that's where we are all aiming for. Whether you're edged out along the way you follow, that's not our problem. We reached there. So even in an attempt to make the playing field level, are there challenges, blocks that are coming along the way?
It sounds to me
subvert that idea.
It sounds to me that the biggest obstacle to this is the public, right? Because of our socialization and knowing that there are some schools that are then considered top schools and we know them to be top schools and others that are not, there has been this. Even after the government expanded the number of so-called national schools to 100, people don't consider that there are 100 national schools in this country.
No, they don't.
No. National schools.
They know the national schools.
It's not you to tell us. We know them.
No, they know.
As you come and tell me which school is a national school. What?
I showed somebody something the other day when they showed, and this is the school that their son had been called to. And they said, I wanted a national school, but this is a national school. They said, no, it is not. They said, no, it's not a national school. But I don't know what I'm talking about. I said, okay. They don't. So it's true, you're right. As far as they're concerned, there are certain national schools. Others are just...
But what does that tell you? That the Kenyan citizens are calling out the government. And why? Because national schools were associated with certain things. Start with facility.
Yes.
Right.
Okay? You knew that when you go to a national school, you will not lack for this and this and this and this. It was available.
Yes.
And national schools were boarding schools.
Yes.
Okay? Start there. So try and convince a parent that a national school is a
day
school. Just attempt that one and see how far that goes. Okay? That's number one. Number two, it was understood that with the national schools, there was never a deficiency in teachers.
Yep.
Never. There was never any over so-called crowding. Okay? There were certain guarantees. You take your child to school, there are things you do not worry about. You're not going to suddenly be shocked that you fees did what went where. Things are communicated on time and you're told. Now, that is the order we've been saying needs to be in every school in the country.
Yes.
Okay? But we know extra-county schools don't enjoy some of those benefits. We've looked at certain schools that are village schools, as I may call them anecdotally, and you find, yes, you're told it's a government school, but the bulk of the teachers there are board-sponsored teachers.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You have to wait hard and long for you to actually get a teacher from the TSC. And many other problems. Now, there was a time when there were schools that actually received more government capitation than others. Okay? There were. They are called national schools. That system was scrapped. And for a good reason. Because essentially, that facilitation was enabling the school to continue the tradition that had been there in colonial times.
Yeah.
So it was actually an elitist school that was given more money to run and maintain those elitist traditions. Okay? Now, when we look at recent governments and their efforts to actually make education available and equal on all platforms, what the government has treated us to is words. For instance, you will find you have a school nearby. The government is supposed to build a training institution. They want to convert the school into a training institution. Instead of building another one.
And they have space.
Yes. There is a primary school. You say, no, what we'll do, that primary school, those students just move here. And the need is there for you to build another one. And then you create labels and explain what you have done and how you solve the problem by simply moving items around. But you actually haven't done what you're supposed to do.
But why do they do that? I'm not being funny or facetious. I'm actually at a loss. Why do that? Because, as you've so well explained, the national schools at inception had a code that they followed.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
This was institutionalized by government.
Yes.
It was not anybody's idea.
No.
It's government.
Yes.
So you saw this model work and work well.
Oh, it worked very well.
And your job then was to replicate the same around the country so that the country's children around the country had access to this same level. So why not replicate it? Why not? And so in the failure of that replication is where you gave birth to the private system.
Yes.
Because they've come and they've seen, hang on a minute, this thing is just not working. No. So let us now augment it by opening our own. But the model upon which it was built, I'm not even talking about curriculum. No, I'm not talking about curriculum and all of that. I'm talking about the basic infrastructure of education in the building, schools themselves, and then what you fill it with in terms of substance. Why not replicate it? Why not just make it available across board? Why?
It's an interesting history, because if you even start with the primary schools, you found there were differences. But the differences that we inherited in independence were, there were schools that were meant for white students, there were students that were meant for Asians, there were students that were meant for Africans. Okay? Now at independence, the change came about in that the Africans now started attending these schools which were meant for Asians as well as the white community. Okay, but if you look at even the schools that were meant for the Africans at the time, in terms of the facilities and the availability of teachers, you didn't hear this disparity that we're talking about.
No.
Some schools may have had more than others, but the differences were slight. They were nominal. They were different, but they were nominal. It wasn't this vast day and night sort of difference that we're talking about here. Now, as the population increased, there was need to build more schools. Now, what many communities did was they started off with Harambee schools.
Yeah.
Then what the government would do with the time, they would take over. It began as an assisted school, meaning you're given teachers. Let's see how this works. Then over time, they take it over completely. Okay? It was a process. Private schools, people hardly went to because they were usually in some commercial building. Okay? And usually in the middle of town. And those are schools you went to when you wanted to study in town, but somehow you couldn't get to government schools. The reason was this: government schools were competitive and they were good. And that's why parents took their children to government schools, whether it was primary, whether it was secondary. The generation of people who just went to what? They went to government schools. It was the norm.
Yep.
And then there were the really high-end private schools. There were few. But again, those were former European schools, and they were expensive. And it was known that they were expensive. But if you want a good education, you went to a government school. You got a very good education. Now, that changed over time. Now, what I find tragic is the humongous budget allocation for the Ministry of Education didn't start in this century. The Ministry of Education always got the chunk of the budget. And part of it was to build schools.
Yeah.
Now, start with, what did the government build? What did they not build? Because they knew the population, they knew the increases. This is why people plan. That's why there's an entire ministry that plans.
Yes.
Where did they drop the ball?
They stopped building schools.
Yes.
Schools.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
They basically stopped building schools. So they left it initially because even as the government was building schools, the religious organizations were also augmenting them and building schools.
They were.
So we have very many PCA-sponsored schools, Anglican,
Catholic.
SDA, Catholic,
We do.
Muslim-sponsored schools. So
yes, we do. Asian, even in
community-sponsored schools. Very many of them. And then the government just left it. And that's why we've seen the proliferation of private schools, particularly in the primary sector.
Yes.
Very many private schools. The government just dropped the ball. And the government is still stuck on that thing and still saying, even as they're talking about, upgrading schools and calling them national and extra county and all, talking about building new schools.
So do you see the flaw? That you now want to do so many things on an already flawed system. So you come in, you change the curriculum on an infrastructure that's wobbly at best. Then a few months you say, okay, you know what, let's extend this change. You change the system again. Now you can imagine you've done that at the primary level on a flawed system. Now the flaw may not even be in the structure itself, it could be a crack. Now instead of you to fix the crack, you now say, you know what, let's just keep putting flaws on
piling onto it.
Then now you want to go to the secondary level and you say, okay, you know what, we're not even going to go from forms, we're going to go into pathways. On what infrastructure?
But you've actually hit the nail on the proverbial and the real head. You know why? Ask yourself, what are we busy doing right now? Discussing this thing, isn't it? We are kept busy. What was wrong with the 844 system? What required tweaking? Every time there's something that the government needs to do, like fundamental infrastructure, we are engaged in a discussion.
Yeah.
They are changing the curriculum.
Yep.
They are changing this. Just when you think you have breathing room, the university has a problem and you're discussing, then they say now it is TVET. Yet it is the same government taking the view that the government is a continuum, we had technical schools. There were schools. That thing you're talking about, where we knew this was a secondary school, but
it's technical.
Yes, but you're taught everything else. But the focus is technical. We had schools that had a commercial leaning to it.
Yeah.
Meaning there's typewriter, there's what. That is the leaning, but it's a secondary school. These governments killed it. They killed them. Most schools had that technical and commercial division. Why did they? So that we can start all over again.
And now we call it something sexy and say it's pathways.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we want to do now.
The pathways existed.
They were there.
But we are not even doing it even now as we talk about pathways. Yes. Because that's not the conversation we're having.
Yes.
Right? In a few short years, last year's grade 7s are this year's grade 8s.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are next year's grade 9s. And then they go into the pathways.
Yes.
By now, we should be having a conversation about, so what schools are offering what pathways and are we equipping them?
Do the schools even know? Do the schools know that they're going to drop all this in the next 2 years, Eric? That they're going to drop all of this when you would take in a Form 1, quote unquote. No, it's not even Form 1. When you would take in a grade 10 now, which in the others would be a Form 3, for example, that you're going to drop everything.
So if you're focusing a lot on STEM, you are a STEM school. Are we actually going to have STEM schools, or are they going to be mixed schools? So this school has STEM. For STEM students, you guys are in grade 10
or if you're
yellow,
going to go the life pathway,
grade 10 yellow and orange are in STEM.
And then green and blue are in life and arts.
Yes, same school. And so during this particular pathway lesson is when you go to your specific class.
And then
but then you have the common math, English, Kiswahili, where you're all in the same. How's it going to look like?
Look, lived experience is an interesting thing. The school I first taught in was called Technical High School, Mombasa. Yeah.
Technical High School?
Yes. Mombasa. The current CEO of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission was a student there. He was my student there at some point. Okay? I taught the English language and literature and Kiswahili, the language as well as literature. Right? But it was a technical school.
So what was the focus?
The focus was you are taught these other subjects, but you spend more time with the technical subjects. Which one? Technical drawing, whether it is woodwork, whether it is metalwork, you focused on it. So meaning you could easily transition from there and go straight into the Polytechnic. Meaning the pathway I was talking about was already set out.
Yep.
It was not the only technical school.
Yeah, many.
I was headmaster of a school called Burhani Secondary School. They're a technical division. It's a private school. But it was phased out. The equipment in the rooms existed. But it was phased out because of this same thing that we're talking about. So people who were technically inclined never had an opportunity to enjoy it. I went to a secondary school that had a technical division. Motor engineering, woodwork, metalwork, technical, all these things, they were there. Whether they're still there, I don't know, but they were there. And we studied them. Whether we liked it or not, we studied them. Then at Form 3 level, some people who preferred it.
So you choose, you go there.
Yes. Yes. And again, a pathway was set for you. The commercial division was also there. The arts division was also there. I'm simply saying that we are being given the impression that they are reinventing this wheel. They are not. And they're not even, whatever they are doing, there's the honest conversation about this is what we had and we are trying to get it back is not even there. We're being given the impression that this is new. It's not new.
What the government is doing is what we talked about in the 7 a.m. They're doing live trials on all these things. It's a live trial on this CBC thing. So Magoha builds classrooms in secondary schools. Now Ruto has told Machogu, we are giving you 10 billion shillings, do classrooms for junior secondary because you're going to have a shortage of one extra classroom.
Those desks that were supposed
the secondary schools have 4 classes. Secondary schools, senior secondary will have 3 classes. So there's going to be an extra classroom. No. Live trial, my friend.
And this is to justify the hundreds of billions that are allocated to this ministry every year, and yet we are not seeing that money going where we keep being told it is going.
You think there's a crisis now? what we've been talking about the last few months.
Wait.
You wait. This
It's coming.
is child's play compared to what's coming.
Let's do traffic 23 to 10.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Is safety your top priority when traveling in a taxi? Look no further. Introducing the Maramoja Taxi app, the safest and most convenient way to get around town. Whether you're headed to work, a night out, or just running errands, Maramoja Taxi app has you covered. With Maramoja Taxi app, every time you top up your wallet, you get 50% more. What are you waiting for? Download the Maramoja Taxi app and use the code SPICE30 to get 30% discount on your next ride. Ride smart with Maramoja Taxi app. Maramoja
All right, what's happening? Let's look again at going towards that Kamkunji roundabout. Still a little bit of traffic there. The Pangani underpass, because it's an underpass, it's a tunnel, there's still some traffic. It's going to take you some time to get out of that. So you got into it, there's really nothing we can do. But this is incoming traffic from Muthaiga Square coming off of Kiambu Road. That should dissipate in no time. Juja Road is busy. It's going to come and touch on Muranga Road as well, getting into the CBD. And then you get to the Globe Cinema overpass, busy into the CBD. That's where most of the action is happening right about now. James Gishero dwindling now with traffic, so we should be okay. That Red Hill Link Road that had some of that movement is starting to look a lot better. We're getting out of traffic hour right about now. Let's see what the morning holds. Avoid what you can if you know there's a hold up there, but talk to us through the days. SpiceFM KE on X.
Business News with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. The government has released 6 billion shillings to support coffee farming. It will go into the Coffee Cherry Advance Revolving Fund as well as into production. Government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura announced that the distribution began in Makueni County and will be extended to all the 37 coffee-producing counties. The distribution will also be done in the counties of Machakos, Kajiado, Taita Taveta, Kirinyaga County and Muranga. President William Ruto has said that the country will receive 3 million bags of fertilizer by the end of this month. He said that the manures are meant to increase food production besides cutting over reliance on imported foods. The reduction of fertilizer prices, the head of state added, has enabled farmers to cultivate more crops, reducing food prices. While speaking in Eldoret, Ruto said that his administration will invest in dams to boost yields. Young entrepreneurs have been urged to venture into the blue economy by exploring new business opportunities propelled by Blue Invest Africa. Blue Invest Africa 2024, which is marking its second edition in July, will handpick 30 leading projects from young entrepreneurs seeking financial solutions and link them to investors. It will also reach out to African small, micro and medium-sized enterprises whose innovative ideas require support to flourish in the African continent markets. All club bouncers will be required to pay taxes as the Private Security Regulatory Authority rolls out a sensitization campaign. Section 21 and 28 of the Private Security Regulation Act require all private security service providers to be vetted, registered and licensed. To encourage compliance, PSRA has announced the mandatory nationwide security vetting training and license of bouncers, bodyguards, event stewards and door supervisors. Others are event security, VIP protection, close protection and crowd control security personnel. Sub-Saharan African economy grew 2.9% in 2023 compared to 3.7% in 2022. This is according to a World Bank report. According to the Lenders Report titled Global Economic Prospects, growth in the region's 3 leading economies, that is Nigeria, South Africa and Angola, slowed to an average of 1.8% last year, holding back the region's overall growth. The bank said the growth in 2023 in several countries was hampered by intense and protracted conflicts, most notably that in Sudan, and recent flare-ups of violence in Chad and Niger, contributing to an increase in violent events in the region. For Spice Business, I'm Dennis Aseto.
Spice FM Business. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
To 600, the education sector. So yes, the final KCPE has happened. They're joining from Monday next week. The KCSE results have come out. This is not the final KCSE, but we've seen what's happening in terms of ranking of schools, performance of students. 200,000 plus students this time qualify to join university.
Yeah.
But then over 45% of students got D. It was D minus, and E. More than 300,000 students. More students than those that have qualified to go into university have actually gotten a D grade.
Goodness gracious.
D and E.
Almost 900,000 students sat KCSE.
Yeah.
And we're saying that close to 500,000. No, I'm sorry. I'm not.
Over 400,000.
Over 400,000 didn't meet the mark. That's just under a quarter of those numbers are eligible to go to an institution of higher learning. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
There really is. So what kind of future are we guaranteeing this 700 and something thousand who did not qualify?
What exactly are we saying here?
What are we saying?
You see, if our system, and I've actually seen a comment somewhere on our YouTube page, our system does not have the provision for bridging.
No.
Okay? If you've gotten a D,
you're doomed.
A D minus, an E, right? Below a D plus, what do you do? Can you bridge such that then you get into a qualification that is equivalent to a C that would then allow you to join
to go to university
a TVET?
Or TVET.
So then you go up on the TVET, you get a higher national diploma, which would then allow you to go further and pick something else if you so wish.
Can you go to
you cannot go into a national polytechnic.
A polytechnic
even a national polytechnic, this D minus E, you will not go anywhere. Polytechnic. All right.
Whereas in some societies,
you'll go into the local vocational training, but then would that grade allow you to upgrade?
Would you be able to obtain the grade that would allow you then go to a TVET and then thereafter a university degree, if that is the path that you were going to?
Yeah.
What are we saying? That essentially, because of these marks, what we're doing is that we're condemning 500,000 every year easily to the unknown in terms of what is going to happen. And that's why in some societies you have what they call community colleges for this purpose. That you may have come out of high school and you did not meet the mark, but we're not saying that you then are going to be left to the whims of whatever society will dish out to you.
Yep.
But that you can then attend a community college for 2 years, which then allows you to obtain the grade to then go to an institution of even higher learning.
And that's the whole point.
That is what should happen.
Because even now, we have the county-sponsored vocational education centers. Okay? Counties have those. The vocational education center. But because you got a D minus,
you're not smelling it.
Even if you went to that county sponsored vocational whatever, and you got a certificate, you cannot upgrade that into a diploma at TVET level. Because they'll say the qualification for joining a TVET is a C and above.
Do they offer bridging facilities?
That is what we're talking about right now.
And someone is even asking that and saying, how can a student who just missed a few marks and has a passion for, say, nursing, not do any bridging that would allow them to pursue nursing? So let's say you wanted to do nursing, all right? But then you sat this KCSE, you got a certain grade. And this grade, for example, it required a certain mark for biology, because I think biology or chemistry are important for nursing. And because you did not get that B or C in biology specifically, the others maybe you even passed. But biology, you did not get that mark. Nothing allows you to actually go and do a bridging for that biology that then would allow you to go to KMTC and pursue nursing.
Yes, that is why you have an education system, an enabling one, so that whatever it is that caused that particular failure, an opportunity to rectify it is provided. Yes. Remember, when you look for professional exams, the one I hear about mostly is in accounting. They actually tell you what you failed in. That's what you repeat.
Supplementary test.
Yeah, hii tax accounting hii ndio ilikuwa inakuletea shorty. So you go and deal with that one.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you don't do well in very many others, it looks like this whole thing, you haven't quite gotten it.
Do the whole thing
again. Do the whole thing again, just so that we can.
You see, guys, if the numbers were inverted, right, then maybe we would not be dealing with what I'm going to call a crisis, again, even at a higher level. If we said that from this 900,000 people who sat this exam, children, some not so, but still, that the numbers were inverted now, and that 700,000 met the mark, then those are good problems. Let's deal with that. The universities don't have enough space to take those who've qualified. Then I would not say, okay, maybe then now we can say, can we look for how we can deal bridging, looking at another system in society where you have the community colleges and deal bridging for those 200,000. That would be different. But we have 700,000 students who did not qualify to go to an institution of higher learning. Not just university, tertiary.
TVET and university.
TVET and university did not qualify. And all we are saying is, okay, February, March will come and we will forget about almost 1 million who finished high school and will not go to the next level. We'll forget about them. Every year, we forget about them.
We do. Because there is no discussion about what happens.
No. What happens, and it's just a year. Huh? This same thing happened in 2022 going to 2023.
It happens. In fact, this
Every
time
year
it's even better. We have a higher percentage of students in this case CSE for the first time in the history of this country. A higher percentage of students who sat the Form 4 exam have qualified for university.
And that's 200 and something thousand.
202,000. Now let me ask the question. You see, when we talk about the alternatives, there's been a lot of discussion about TVETs in terms of numbers and their capacity to absorb the others, whom we never talk about, or whatever other institutions exist to absorb the others. Do you hear that? Do you even envision or see those dots being connected? Okay, we've heard TVET, we've heard, and then?
Maybe, but the problem, maybe they can be connected, but the problem, CT, one dot is there, the next dot is Okoh.
Now, again, I'm going to get historical on this subject again, as I always do. There was something we refer to as village polytechnics. Do you know what, this thing that you're talking about? They understood that not everybody could get an A or a B or a C or a D.
Yep.
That's where you got an opportunity to start by understanding inaitwa spanner. Inaitwa screwdriver.
Then people started doing what they call apprenticeship.
But no. You have gotten it completely. But then you had an opportunity from there to now go to the polytechnic and continue.
And that's the thing. You see, right now, and I think the time when we had the principal secretary here for TVETs, and she talked about it. But village polytechnics are now called VTIs.
Yes.
Vocational Training Institutes. These are the ones that are run by counties. So counties have VTIs, and in the ministries of education in counties, it's ECD and VTI. Okay?
Same WhatsApp group.
Yeah. So the issue though is VTIs will absorb these ones, the D's and the E's.
Yes, they will.
Okay? TVETs will absorb the higher grades.
Those who want to go in that direction.
And you will start, and in fact, somebody is reminding us here, they're now called CBETs. There is not diploma certificate, it's from grades level 4, 6, blah, 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 like that. But the entry mark to a TVET is a certain grade in KCSE.
Yes, a grade.
It's a certain grade that you got in KCSE.
Right.
It's not a certain certificate that you come up with from VTI.
Yes, it's a grade.
It's a grade in KCSE.
Yes.
In very many of these institutions, it will always be that grade in KCSE. If you go to the military, the entry is a grade in KCSE. If you go to the police, the entry is a grade in KCSE. E scorers do not qualify to join the police, to join the military, to join anything, to join nothing.
To join nothing.
Okay? And doesn't matter if you come either with a VTI certificate or a whatever
go back to your
certificate.
grade.
They ask you, okay, ulipata nini KCSE?
Yeah, no, they go back to your grade. They go back
Ulipata
to your
nini
grade.
KCSE? Ulipata D, wewe huwezi kuwa polisi. We're talking about those ones where you say, si wataenda polisi. Hawataenda polisi.
You know, you've heard me
400,000 students who sat KCSE last year.
Chao.
Nothing.
Hawana.
Yeah.
No.
And every year that happens now, where do these people go?
Thank you. And why?
Where do they go?
Why is there not a little bit more than a dust storm being kicked off about this thing? What happens to them? So they're doomed in terms of getting a position in a training. They are doomed because we don't have a system set up that can absorb them to learn a trade or a skill as what was before. And then we don't ask questions, and then we wonder. I mean, it's like rocket science. We wonder, oh my goodness, why do we then have a huge unemployment percentage? Why then do we have it so difficult whereby people don't have the skills that are needed to do job 1, 2, 3? Can these things be fixed? Shouldn't that be where the trajectory is now pointing? That you look at the numbers that you have and you say, okay, something is not quite cooking right here. It's not possible that you have 500,000 students every year that cannot get into higher learning. Every year, folks, every year. Why are we not asking the question about what happens to them?
Providing, I don't think an education system would be able to produce 80% of people scoring that B and above.
No.
I was going to ask the same question. Is there any country in the world that can absorb all its qualified population in universities, for instance? The answer is no.
Not possible. But what we are saying
So you'll always
is
have those other lower grades.
Yes.
But then there should be a plan that says, this is how these lower grades, what we are doing is you are lengthening your stay in school.
Exactly.
You wanted to end up here. You wanted to end up being a nurse. Okay? But unfortunately, in this one exam, you did not qualify.
And we need you to qualify to
and
get
we want you to
be a
qualify.
nurse. Yes.
You can start at this level, at village level, in the VTI. You can then rise into KMTC or the others, and you can end up in being a nurse. It will take you longer.
But you'll get there.
Somebody who scored higher will just go straight into KMTC. They'll do their 3-year course. They will get their diploma, or whatever grade or level is called, and they'll become a nurse. You will take an extra 2 years.
An extra 2 years.
But you can also still become a nurse.
Yeah, but now that provisory doesn't
And
exist.
E.
You know?
just heard in the news here, a girl who was a clip of a girl in the news by Aseto. Girl who was saying, I don't understand how I got D's.
Yes.
They did not expect that they were going to get D.
Because they have not been getting D's.
But this is it. That's the final verdict.
Who are you going to take it to
They
say
got
mine is not mine?
That's what they have.
Remember this year we had an interesting situation where parents were taking schools and the education system to court. Yes, because they're saying, no, this doesn't make sense. But take this, for instance, this consideration. In some of these countries that we refer to as developed, we have a categorization that more or less predestines you to go to a certain place. In those places, someone will get an A and they want to go to a TVET. Because that's what they want to do. What they want to do is available there. But they also have a system where that so-called TVET goes up to university level. I mean, it depends on where you want to go with this thing. But they understand that there are people who don't want to be master technicians. They just want to know how to fix a wrench and how to connect pipes. And they're okay with it. And they're needed. And they become skilled and very, very, very good at it.
And it's their passion.
Yes, it's what they want to do. They don't want to become engineers. That's not their interest. And they'll even tell you they're not interested in becoming engineers. Now, but that is because they have these so-called developed economies, whether they call it specialization or not, but they've understood that this categorization has to fit in with the needs of the society.
Exactly.
What the CS was saying, yes.
And you have an organization, the equivalent of their KUSUS there, who are making sure that they are well aware of these individuals and what it is that they want to do. So your A who doesn't want to be an engineer wants to be a molder, for example, for this specialization, architectural work, whatever.
Yep.
So they're aware of that and they place them because they know.
Yes.
But here we just say engineering ndio unataka.
They take it even further.
You want doctor.
Yes. They have institutions that every year they look at those demands and they look at the university and the courses they offer. And people are advised in time, this one we need to change, or we need to phase out, we need to do this. Yeah. So there's this almost seamless process where you're always ensuring that your education system is in tandem with the needs of the country at that particular point in time.
And that's why you then now see that clamor for grading of schools.
Yes.
Because the school that you go to in Form 1 starts determining where you'll end up.
Yes.
When you hear those rumors that people are paying 200,000 shillings for their child to be admitted to a certain school, it's because they think, at least hapo, I am pushing a bit further from getting the D.
Yeah. Yes.
We are coming at
I'm eliminating the D and the E.
Yes.
So I'm starting off at C and we can see how we can get to A.
And this school will mold them to make sure they get at least that CB.
At least.
You know. Yeah. That's it.
Hey, whoa.
There's a problem here.
Well,
and it really needs to be. And I'm not even saying overhaul it at once. It's not possible to do. And I think of it like, I remember the Sistine Chapel in Italy, and they wanted to now start refurbishing it. They didn't bring the whole thing down.
No, they did not.
They went piece by piece, and they said, okay, here we can now start to remold, and then we paint, and then we move, and then we move. It's going to take us some time, but then we'll have this thing where it is now bring it back to its
properly
original
refurbished,
glory.
yes.
And I'm not saying take and remove everybody from school, bring the thing down. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying where you need to apply infrastructure, apply it. Where you need to apply thought, apply it. Where you need to implement it. Where you need to not steal the funds that are there for the thing to work. Don't steal it.
But Ndui, there's something you've said for the longest possible time. Longest as in almost the 4 years we've been in existence here. Start with an honest conversation.
Just say, man.
Yeah, just start with an honest conversation. Eric chimed in and said, look, can we just say, okay, what's the truth here?
Yeah.
Because in the absence of that honest conversation, if you're talking of change, what are you changing if you haven't honestly assessed and understood what it is that requires changing? And for it to require changing, there must be something fundamentally wrong with it. So if you're not having an honest conversation,
wasting time,
all these forward movement processes that the government shouts from the rooftops, how do you think they're actually going to be made possible?
If you like, have 3 working parties working at the same time.
Story Niza.
Jabas.
Thank you very much for tuning in to the Situation Room today. Tomorrow we'll be back here. Tomorrow is Thursday. We hope to have our first Justice Thursday conversation.
Tomorrow is Thursday. I mean, yeah.
Tomorrow is Thursday.
So this is how last year started, like this,
like
on
that,
the gallop.
like that, 20 tumemaliza.
Merry Christmas to you
Merry
guys.
Christmas to you, man. Na ule mtoto amefanya form 4 juzi university.
Kwisha.
Wakipata si.
What? All right, have a good day. We'll see you here tomorrow. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.